Amara Bello had always been the kind of woman who stayed calm when everyone else lost control. She was 27 and never ashamed of the people she loved. But on the morning of her wedding, even Amara felt her courage shake. A sound came from the road. Put, 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 put. Every head turned. An old blue scooter rolled toward the hotel gate. One mirror was missing. The front light was cracked, and smoke followed behind it. The rider wore a brown jacket, dark trousers, and a black helmet. The crowd went silent. Then someone laughed. "Please tell me that is not the groom," Amara's cousin Laura said. More laughter followed. Amara stood outside in her wedding dress. Her mother, Mrs. Bello, gripped her arm. "Amara," she whispered, "do not tell me Daniel came here on that thing." Amara knew the way he sat. She knew the brown jacket. She had sewn one of its loose buttons herself. "It is him," she said. Her mother's face changed. "This cannot be happening." The scooter coughed and stopped beside a line of luxury cars. Daniel placed one foot on the ground and tried to start it again, but the engine gave one weak sound and died. A man near the gate raised his phone and began recording. "This wedding is already better than a comedy show," he said. Amara heard every word. Her cheeks became hot, but she did not move. Her father, Chief Bello, pushed through the guests. He wore a gold outfit and carried himself like a man who believed every eye should be on him. "What is this?" he shouted. Daniel removed his helmet. His hair was untidy from the ride, but his face was calm. "Good morning, sir," he said. "Do not good morning me," Chief Bello replied. "Where is the car I told you to rent?" Daniel looked at the cars around him. "I did not rent one." "I can see that." The guests laughed again. Daniel got off the scooter and placed the helmet on the seat. "The scooter brought me here safely." "Safely?" Laura called. "It nearly died before you did." The laughter became louder. Amara turned toward Laura. "That is enough." Laura lifted both hands. "I am only saying what everyone is thinking." "No," Amara said. "You are saying it because you enjoy hurting people." The smile left Laura's face. Chief Bello walked closer to Daniel. "You promised me you would not disgrace my family today." "I made no such promise," Daniel said. Chief Bello's eyes widened. "What did you say?" "I promised Amara that I would come and marry her. I am here." "You came looking like a delivery rider." Daniel glanced at his clothes. "My suit is inside." "That is not the point," Chief Bello snapped. "People are watching." Daniel looked around at the phones, smiling faces, and guests whispering. "Yes, sir. I noticed." Mrs. Bello pulled Amara aside. "Go inside before this gets worse." "He is my groom," Amara said. "And your groom arrived on a broken scooter." "So?" Her mother blinked. "These people are important. Your father spent more money on this wedding than most people earn in 10 years. I did not ask him to. This is not the time to be stubborn." Amara looked at Daniel. He stood alone beside the scooter while guards watched him as if he did not belong. He had never claimed to be rich. He said he lived simply, worked hard, and did not care about showing off. She loved him because he listened and stayed when life became hard. Yet one question pushed into her mind. Why had he not warned her? Before she could speak, a polished red car stopped at the gate. Victor Hale stepped out wearing a white designer suit. He was the man her father had once wanted her to marry. Victor looked at the scooter and laughed. "So the stories were true," he said. "You chose this man over me." Amara tightened her grip on her flowers. "Victor, leave." He ignored her and walked toward Daniel. "Do you need money for fuel, friend?" Daniel met his eyes. "No." "Maybe money for a new scooter?" "No." Victor smiled at the crowd. He is proud. A poor man needs something to keep. Chief Bello did not stop him. That hurt Amara more than the laughter. Daniel picked up a small black bag from the scooter. Victor blocked his path. "The hotel entrance is for wedding guests." "I am the groom." "Then prove it. Where is your car? Where are your friends? Where is your family?" Daniel looked toward Amara. For the first time, pain showed in his eyes. Amara stepped down one stair. Her mother grabbed her dress. Do not go near him. Amara pulled free. Chief Bello pointed at Daniel. Leave, find a proper car, and return like a man worthy of my daughter. Daniel remained still. And if I refuse? Then there will be no wedding. The crowd became quiet. Amara reached the bottom step and stood between them. There will be a wedding, she said. Chief Bello stared at her. Go inside. No, Amara, I am warning you. And I am telling you that nobody will chase Daniel away. Victor shook his head. You are throwing your life away. Amara turned to Daniel. His jacket was dusty, his scooter was broken, and the crowd was waiting for her to feel ashamed. She held out her hand. Daniel looked at it but did not take it. Are you sure? He asked. Amara swallowed the fear in her throat. I am sure about you, but after today you will explain everything. Daniel's eyes softened. He took her hand. Someone laughed again. Daniel turned toward the hotel doors, holding Amara's hand. He did not look angry or defeated. He looked like a man who had learned exactly who stood with him when he appeared to have nothing. As they walked past the laughing guests, a black phone inside Daniel's bag began to ring. The black phone kept ringing inside Daniel's bag as he and Amara walked toward the hotel doors. Amara heard it. Daniel reached inside, ended the call, and hid the screen. The phone was newer and more expensive than the simple one he used every day. Before she could ask about it, Chief Bello shouted behind them. Stop right there. Daniel and Amara turned. Chief Bello pushed through the guests with Mrs. Bello behind him. Victor followed them, wearing a smile that made Amara feel sick. Chief Bello pointed toward the road. I gave you one clear order. Leave and return in a proper car. And I gave you my answer, Amara said. Daniel is not leaving. You are speaking to your father. I know exactly who I am speaking to. Mrs. Bello stepped between them. Please, both of you. Everyone is watching. Guests stood near the entrance with their phones raised, smiling as if her pain was part of the wedding show. That is what you care about? Amara asked. People watching? Her mother lowered her voice. I care about your future. My future is standing beside me. Victor laughed softly. That is a very sad future. Daniel took one slow step toward him. You have said enough. Victor lifted his chin. Or what? You will chase me on your scooter. Several guests laughed again. Daniel's hand tightened around Amara's. He did not shout or strike Victor. He only stared until Victor's smile weakened. Chief Bello moved in front of Daniel. Do not threaten my guest. He is not threatening him, Amara said. Victor is the one insulting my husband. He is not your husband yet, Chief Bello snapped. The words hurt. The vows had not been spoken, and her father was using that fact like a weapon. Mrs. Bello touched Amara's shoulder. Come upstairs with me. We can talk in private. No. Every insult happened in public. My answer will be public too. Chief Bello breathed hard. Then hear me clearly. If you enter that hall with him, you are choosing him over your family. Amara stared at him. Why are you making me choose? Because you have forgotten what this family has done for you. You raised me to know right from wrong. I raised you to use your head. I am using it. No, he shouted. You are throwing your life away for a man who came to his wedding without pride. Daniel finally spoke. A car does not give a man pride. Chief Bello turned on him. You should be ashamed to speak. Why? Look at you. Daniel looked down at his dusty jacket and then back at him. I know what I am wearing. You came here with nothing. I came here to marry Amara. That is not enough. It is enough for me, Amara said. Mrs. Bello looked afraid. Love does not pay bills. Love does not build a home. Amara faced her. Daniel works. He has never asked me for money. Then where is the proof? Chief Bello asked. Where is his house, his company, or anyone important who knows him? Daniel's face remained calm. Not every important thing must be shown. Victor clapped once. Beautiful words from a man with a dead scooter. Amara turned toward him. Why are you still here? Because I care about you. No, you care about winning. Victor's face changed. I came because your father invited me. You invited the man you wanted me to marry to watch this wedding? Chief Bello did not answer. She looked from her father to Victor. You planned this. Chief Bello shook his head. Do not be foolish. You expected Daniel to fail. You wanted Victor here so you could shame me. I wanted you to see the difference between them. I see it, she said. Daniel is standing beside me while Victor is laughing at me. Victor stepped closer. I am not laughing at you, Amara. I am trying to save you. From what? From waking up with no money, no help, and no way out. Daniel's eyes moved to Victor. You think money makes you better than everyone. It makes life easier. It also makes weak men loud. The guests gasped. Victor took one angry step forward, but Chief Bello held out his arm. This ends now, Chief Bello said. He faced Amara. Go inside alone, and I may still forgive this. Amara's chest hurt. Forgive me for loving the man I chose? For embarrassing us. You embarrassed yourself. Mrs. Bello covered her mouth. Chief Bello's face hardened. If you marry him, you will lose your job at Bello Holdings, your salary, your car, and the apartment I bought. The guests became quiet again. Amara felt Daniel turn toward her. Amara, he said softly. You do not have to answer now. Yes, I do. Her father folded his arms. Think before you speak. She looked at the hotel, the flowers, the cameras, and the people waiting to judge her. Then she looked at Daniel. He did not beg her to stay. He allowed her to choose. If you're enjoying this video so far, consider subscribing to my small channel. My wife promised to make me chocolate chip cookies if I hit 100,000 subscribers before the end of 2026. So it would mean the world to me. That's it, and thanks for listening this far. Now let's continue. Amara faced her father. Keep the job, Mrs. Bello gasped. Amara, keep the car too. Chief Bello stared at her. You cannot mean that. I do. And the apartment? I will leave it. Victor shook his head. You have no idea what you are giving up. Amara looked at him. You have no idea what I refuse to become. Chief Bello's voice dropped. Once you walk through those doors with him, do not come back asking for help. Daniel moved closer to Amara. Sir, you do not need to punish her because you dislike me. This has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with me. Chief Bello pointed at his chest. Then take her, feed her, protect her, give her the life she thinks you can give. Daniel did not look away. I will. Victor laughed again, but this time nobody joined him. Amara's heart beat hard. Daniel was kind, but she knew little about his work or money. For 1 second, fear touched her. Daniel saw it. You can still change your mind, he whispered. She searched his face. Do you want me to? No. Then stop asking. A small smile appeared on his lips. They turned toward the entrance, but Victor walked around them and blocked the door. One final chance, he said. Amara frowned. Move. Come with me. The car is waiting. Leave this place, and I will make sure nobody blames you. Daniel stayed silent. Victor held out his hand. I can give you a house, your own company, and your family back. All you must do is leave him. Amara looked at his hand as the guests watched. You think this is love? She asked. I think this is sense. No, this is a deal. It is a better deal than poverty. Amara slapped his hand away. I would rather struggle with a good man than live in a palace with someone who enjoys making others feel small. Victor's face turned red. You will regret saying that. Move. He looked at Daniel. When she comes crying to me, I will remind her of today. Daniel stepped forward until only a small space remained between them. She will never need to cry to you. Something in Daniel's voice made Victor move aside. Amara and Daniel entered the hotel. Chief Bello ordered the guests to follow. Mrs. Bello remained near the door, wiping her eyes, while Victor stared at the old scooter. Inside, white flowers and gold cloth covered the hall. Guests entered slowly, still whispering. Amara leaned toward Daniel. That phone in your bag, she said. Whose call was that? Daniel looked ahead. Someone from work. You never used that phone. I only use it for certain matters. What matters? He stopped beside the doors leading to the wedding hall. I will explain. When? After the ceremony. Amara wanted to press him, but her father was coming and the wedding planner was calling everyone inside. Trust me a little longer. She nodded, though questions crowded her mind. She wanted to believe him, yet the hidden phone and his strange calm made her wonder how much of Daniel's life had been kept from her. Still, she refused to question him before their vows in that moment. Daniel stepped away and entered a quiet side room. He closed the door, opened his bag, and took out the black phone. It rang again. He answered in a low voice. Yes. A man spoke quickly on the other end. Daniel listened, then glanced toward the door. No changes, he said. Continue with the plan exactly as we agreed. Daniel ended the call, placed the black phone inside his bag, took a slow breath, and opened the door. Amara was waiting in the hallway. You said that was someone from work, she said. It was. What plan were you talking about? Daniel looked toward the wedding hall. Music was already playing inside, and the wedding planner was waving at them from the far end of the hall. I cannot explain everything now, he said. Amara folded her arms. That is the second time you have said that. I know. You arrived on a broken scooter without warning me. You have a phone I have never seen, and now you are giving secret orders behind a locked door. Daniel lowered his voice. Nothing I am doing will hurt you. That is not an answer. No, it is not. Then give me one. He looked at her with tired eyes. Please let us finish the ceremony first. After that, I will tell you what I can. What you can. What I should have told you sooner. Before Amara could reply, the wedding planner rushed toward them. You both need to get ready now, she said. The guests are seated. The pastor is waiting, and your father is asking if the wedding has been canceled. It has not been canceled, Amara said. The planner looked at Daniel's dusty jacket. Sir, your changing room is this way. Daniel nodded, but Amara caught his hand before he could leave. Do not disappear again, she said. I will not. Do not make me regret standing beside you. Daniel's face softened. I would rather lose everything than do that. He walked into the changing room. Amara followed the planner to the bridal room, where her mother and two cousins waited. Mrs. Bello stood near the mirror with tears in her eyes. Laura sat on a chair, looking annoyed. So you are truly going ahead with this? Mrs. Bello asked. Yes. After what your father said? Yes. Laura laughed. You say yes as if you are proud. Amara faced her. I am proud that I did not join all of you in treating a good man like dirt. You do not even know if he is good, Laura replied. A good man would not bring shame to his bride. He came to marry me. That is what matters. In a broken jacket and on a machine that sounded like it was begging for death, Mrs. Bello raised one hand. Enough, Laura. Laura stood. I am only trying to help her. No, Amara said. You are trying to make me feel foolish. Maybe because you are being foolish. Amara stepped closer. Then leave. Laura blinked. What? Leave the bridal room. Leave the wedding too if you cannot show respect. You cannot throw me out. This is my wedding. Laura looked at Mrs. Bello for help. When none came, she grabbed her bag and walked out. Mrs. Bello waited until the door closed. You are pushing everyone away. I am asking them to stop hurting the man I love. Her mother sat beside her. Yet you look worried. Because Daniel is hiding something. Mrs. Bello took her hand. Come home with us. We can end this quietly. Amara shook her head. I will not leave him because he has secrets. I will ask him for the truth. And if the truth is bad, then I will face it after I hear it from him. A knock came at the door. The wedding planner entered and smiled nervously. It is time. Across the hallway, Daniel stood before a mirror in a plain dark suit. It was clean but old, and the sleeves were short. Victor entered without knocking. Daniel saw him in the mirror. This room is private. Victor closed the door. I wanted to see the famous wedding suit. You have seen it. Now leave. Victor looked him over. No fine cloth, no gold watch, no costly shoes. Daniel faced him. Why does that trouble you? It does not trouble me. It makes me laugh. Then laugh and go. Victor's smile disappeared. You think you won because she chose you outside. This is not a game. Some men are born to win, and others are born to watch. Daniel picked up his bag. You speak like a man who is afraid. Afraid of you? Yes. Victor moved closer. What could a man like you take from me? Daniel met his eyes. Amara already chose me. Maybe that is what hurts. Victor's jaw tightened. She will understand her mistake. Not today. Today is only the beginning. Daniel opened the door. Then watch carefully. When Daniel entered the wedding hall, the guests turned and began whispering. That suit looks borrowed, one woman said. Maybe the hotel cleaner gave it to him, a man answered. Daniel kept walking. At the front, Chief Bello stood beside Mrs. Bello without smiling. Amara entered with her uncle. Everyone rose as her eyes searched the room and found Daniel. She saw his simple suit and smiled. Daniel smiled back. The music stopped, and the pastor spoke about trust, love, and standing together. Daniel ignored the guests and kept his eyes on Amara. The pastor asked, "Who gives this woman to be married?" Chief Bello was meant to answer, but he remained silent. The hall became still. Mrs. Bello touched his arm. "Say it." Chief Bello looked at Daniel. "I cannot give my daughter to a man who cannot care for her." Amara's uncle slowly released her hand. "Father," Amara said, "do not do this. I warned you." The pastor cleared his throat. "This should have been handled before the ceremony. I tried." She refused to listen. Amara stepped forward. "You are trying to shame me. I am trying to save you." Victor rose from his seat. "Perhaps the groom can answer one simple question." Amara turned. "Sit down." Victor ignored her. "Daniel, how do you plan to support her?" The guests began whispering again. Daniel looked at the pastor. "May we continue?" Victor laughed. "That is not an answer. This is not your wedding. But it is a fair question. Where will she live?" Daniel stayed silent. "What work do you do?" Victor asked. "How much do you earn? Do you even have enough money to repair that scooter?" A few guests laughed. Amara's face burned. "Stop this now." Victor spread his hands. "Everyone wants to know." Daniel looked across the hall. "You do not have a right to know everything about my life." Chief Bello stepped forward. "You want my daughter, yet you refuse to explain how you will feed her? I have never asked Amara or your family for money. That does not prove anything. I work." "Where?" Daniel's eyes hardened. "That is private." Victor smiled. "Private means there is nothing." Daniel turned to him. "No. Private means I will not perform for men who have already decided to hate me." The laughter stopped. Chief Bello pointed toward the doors. "A real man would answer." Daniel spoke calmly. "A real man does not need to shout about what he owns." Victor moved into the aisle. "Then say it quietly. Tell us your job." Daniel glanced at Amara. She was watching him closely. "I manage business matters," he said. "What kind of business?" Chief Bello asked. "Several kinds." Victor laughed. "That sounds like a lie." Daniel did not react. Amara walked to him. "Daniel, I am not asking because of them. I am asking because I need to understand. Why will you not tell us?" His expression changed when he looked at her. "Because once I do, this room will change." "What does that mean?" "It means people may stop showing us who they really are." She searched his face. "Is that what today is about?" "Partly." Chief Bello shook his head. "More riddles." The pastor raised both hands. "The bride and groom must decide what they want." "I know what I want," Amara said. "So do I," Daniel replied. Victor pointed at him. "Then answer the question." Daniel faced the hall. "No." A shocked sound passed through the room. "I will not speak about my money to earn your respect," he continued. "If my clothes, my scooter, and my silence are enough to make you cruel, then anything I say will come too late." Victor's face tightened. You have no money. Daniel looked at him with a calm that made Amara uneasy. Believe whatever helps you sleep. Then Daniel turned back to the pastor and held out his hand to Amara. She placed her hand in his, but as the pastor began again, one thought would not leave her mind. The pastor began speaking again, but Amara barely heard him. Daniel's hand was warm around hers, yet his calm no longer felt simple. It felt planned, as if he had been waiting for this moment all day. Why did a man with nothing stand so calmly before people who believed they could destroy him? The answer came when Daniel squeezed Amara's hand and the pastor asked them to face each other. Daniel quietly looked at her as if no one else was there. Amara Bello, he said, I do not promise that every day will be easy. I do not promise that people will always understand us. But I promise that I will stand beside you, tell you the truth, and never make you feel alone. Amara held his eyes. Even so, when the pastor asked if she accepted Daniel as her husband, she answered, I do. Daniel gave the same answer, and the pastor joined their hands. A few people clapped. When the ceremony ended, Daniel leaned close to Amara. Thank you for trusting me. I am still waiting for answers, she whispered. You will get them. When? Soon. That word is beginning to annoy me. Daniel almost smiled. I understand. The doors to the reception hall opened, and music filled the air. The room looked beautiful, but the guests carried the same ugly mood inside with them. As Daniel and Amara entered, some people clapped while others whispered about his old suit, his dead scooter, and the way Chief Bello had refused to bless the marriage. Amara tried to ignore them. She and Daniel reached the main table, but Chief Bello took the seat farthest from Daniel. Mrs. Bello sat beside him, twisting a cloth in her hands. The host raised a glass. Let us welcome the newly married couple. A weak cheer moved through the hall. Victor sat at a table close to the front. Food was served, and for a few minutes the room became calmer. Daniel touched none of his meal. Are you all right? Amara asked. I am. You have not eaten. I am thinking. About your plan? Daniel looked at her. About what comes next. Then tell me. Before he could answer, the host tapped the microphone. We will now hear from family and friends. Laura hurried to the stage first. She had returned after leaving the bridal room, and her smile told Amara that she had not come to make peace. My dear cousin, Laura began, you have always been brave, sometimes too brave. Today, you proved that you can follow your heart even when everyone else sees danger. A few guests laughed softly. Amara's face tightened. Laura continued, I only hope love is enough to repair scooters, pay rent, and buy food. The laughter grew louder. Daniel remained seated. Amara pushed her chair back, but Daniel touched her hand. Let her finish. Why? Because every word tells us who she is. Laura raised her glass. To Amara and Daniel, may their love last longer than his scooter. The room burst into laughter. Amara stood. Laura, leave the stage. Laura blinked. It was only a joke. No, it was cruel. Chief Bello spoke from his seat. Sit down, Amara. Do not create another scene. She created it. It is your wedding. Learn to smile. Amara stared at her father. You want me to smile while people insult my husband? Daniel stood slowly. Amara, please. She turned to him. Why are you letting them do this? Because their words cannot change me. They are hurting you. They are showing me something useful. What? Who deserves a place in our life after today? The room grew quiet enough for several guests to hear him. Laura stepped down without another word. The host tried to save the moment. Perhaps someone else would like to speak. Victor rose. I would. Amara's stomach tightened. No. Victor walked toward the stage. Do not worry. I brought a wedding gift. He took the microphone and smiled at the crowd. I have known Amara's family for many years. Chief Bello is a great businessman, and Mrs. Bello is a woman of class. Amara also grew up with every comfort. Daniel watched him without moving. Victor reached into his pocket and pulled out a thick white envelope. Daniel, please come forward. Daniel stayed beside Amara. Victor shook the envelope. Do not be shy. What is it? Daniel asked. A small gift from one man to another. Daniel walked to the stage. The guests leaned closer. Victor held out the envelope. There is enough money here to repair your scooter. If it cannot be repaired, perhaps you can buy a better one. Laughter filled the hall again. Daniel looked at the envelope but did not take it. Victor smiled wider. Go on. You need it. No, I do not. Pride will not carry your wife home. Daniel took the envelope at last. Victor turned toward the guests as if he had won. But Daniel opened it, removed the money, and counted it slowly. Victor frowned. What are you doing? Making sure it is all here. More laughter followed. Daniel finished counting, placed the money back inside, and held out the envelope. Victor stared at it. Keep it. I do not want it. You need it more than I do. Daniel pushed the envelope into Victor's hand. Then give it to someone who asked. Victor's smile disappeared. You think you are too good for my help? No. I think help given to shame someone is not help. The room went silent. Victor lowered the microphone. Be careful. Daniel took it from him. You have spent this entire day trying to prove that you are better than me because of your clothes, your car, and your money. But a man's value is not measured by what he drives or what he wears. It is measured by how he treats people when he believes they have nothing to offer him. Several guests looked away. Daniel continued. You saw an old scooter and decided I was worthless. You saw a simple suit and decided I should be mocked. You did not ask whether I was honest, whether I worked hard, or whether I loved Amara. You only asked what I owned. Victor stepped closer. Do not lecture me. Daniel held his gaze. Then stop giving me reasons. A few guests clapped. More people joined. Victor's face turned red. He grabbed the envelope and left the stage. Daniel returned the microphone to the host and walked back to Amara. She stood and took his hand. That was the first clear thing you have said all day, she whispered. There will be more. Chief Bello suddenly rose from his chair. No, there will be no more speeches from you. He walked to the stage and took the microphone. Mrs. Bello followed him with fear in her eyes. Please, she said. Not here. This must be said here, Chief Bello replied. Amara stepped forward. Father, enough. He looked across the hall. Everyone in this room knows that I worked for years to build Bello Holdings. I plan to pass part of that company to my daughter. Amara's throat tightened. Chief Bello looked directly at Daniel. But a person who rejects this family cannot expect to enjoy what this family built. Mrs. Bello touched his arm. Think about what you are doing. I have thought about it. He faced Amara. If you remain married to Daniel, you will receive no shares in Bello Holdings. Gasps moved across the hall. Amara stared at him. You are using the company to control me. I am protecting it. From my husband? From your poor choices. Daniel stepped beside her. Sir, your company belongs to you. You may do whatever you wish with it. Chief Bello narrowed his eyes. I was not speaking to you, but your threat is about me. It is about my daughter choosing a man who has nothing. Daniel's face stayed calm. Then keep everything. Amara turned to him. Daniel. He looked at her. You already gave up enough for me today. You do not need to beg for what should never be used against you. Chief Bello pointed toward them. Hear me clearly, Amara. No shares, no seat on the board, no part of the family business, and no money from me. If you walk out with him, you walk out with nothing. The hall became silent. Amara looked at her mother, but Mrs. Bello lowered her eyes. She looked at Laura, who watched with an open mouth, and then at Victor, who stood near the back holding the white envelope. At last, Amara faced her father. You keep saying I will have nothing, but I still have my name, my hands, and the man I chose. Chief Bello's face hardened. Do not come back when love fails you. Amara took Daniel's hand. Love has not failed me today. My family has. The words struck the room like a slap. Chief Bello lowered the microphone, but his anger did not leave his face. Daniel looked at Amara with quiet pride. while the guests stared at the couple they had mocked all day. Then Daniel's black phone began to vibrate inside his bag once more, but this time he did not reach for it. Daniel's black phone kept vibrating inside his bag while the hall stayed silent. Amara looked toward it. "Are you going to answer that?" she asked. "Not here," Daniel said. Chief Bello laughed. "A man with secrets always needs a quiet room." The phone stopped, but Chief Bello's phone began to ring. He frowned at the name on the screen and answered. "Yes, Mr. Grant. I was not expecting your call today." As he listened, his shoulders dropped. "What do you mean the deal is off?" he asked. Mrs. Bello moved closer. "What happened?" He raised one finger, telling her to wait. No, you cannot cancel now," Chief Bello said into the phone. "The papers are ready. We agreed to sign on Monday." Daniel watched him closely. "Mr. Grant, please listen. Bello Holdings spent money based on your promise." The call ended and Chief Bello stared at the screen. Mrs. Bello touched his arm. "Tell me what happened." "Our largest investor has pulled out," he said. A low whisper spread through the room. Amara forgot her anger for a moment. "The Grant deal?" Chief Bello looked at her. "Yes, but that deal was going to save the company." "I know what it was going to do." Victor hurried forward. "How much money are we talking about?" Chief Bello did not answer at first. Then he lowered his voice. "Enough to keep our factories open." Amara's face changed. "What happens without it?" Her father looked toward the tables, as if he hated that so many people were listening. "We may not have enough money to pay everyone next month." Mrs. Bello covered her mouth. "How many workers?" "More than 600. The guests stopped laughing. Several business partners checked their phones. Victor touched Chief Bello's shoulder. "I can fix this." Daniel watched him. Chief Bello looked up. "How?" "My company can provide a short loan." "How soon?" "By tomorrow." Amara stepped closer. "What will you ask for?" Victor frowned. "This is about saving your father." Chief Bello turned to Victor. "What are your terms?" Victor glanced at Daniel before answering. "Only a fair share of Bello Holdings." "How much?" 40%. Chief Bello's eyes widened. "That is not a loan. That is taking my company." "It is keeping your company alive." Amara shook her head. "Father, do not agree." Chief Bello snapped. "You gave up your place in the company. This no longer concerns you. It concerns the workers." Victor smiled. "The workers will lose everything if I do nothing." Daniel finally spoke. "How much money does the company need?" Chief Bello turned on him. "You could not even arrive in a proper car. Do not speak about my business." Daniel stayed calm. "I asked a simple question, and I do not need your advice." Victor laughed. "Maybe he wants to offer the coins in his pocket." Daniel looked at Chief Bello. "If 600 people may lose their jobs, pride should not stop you from hearing every idea." Chief Bello stepped toward him. "What idea could you have?" Daniel did not answer. Amara watched him. "Daniel." His black phone vibrated again. Daniel reached into the bag and took it out. Before he could answer, Victor pointed at the phone. "That is a costly phone for a poor man." Daniel looked at him. "You notice objects quickly." "I notice lies." Chief Bello spoke over them. "This is not the time." "No," Daniel said. "It is not." He turned to Amara. "I need 5 minutes." "Why?" "To take this call." "Is it connected to what is happening?" Daniel paused. "It may be." Chief Bello laughed bitterly. "Now he wants us to believe he can save the company." Daniel's face did not change. "I did not say that." "You did not need to." Victor walked closer. "Take your call. Perhaps your scooter repairman has good business advice." Daniel looked at Amara. "I will come back." She nodded slowly. 5 minutes. He entered the side room, and Amara followed him to the door. "Daniel." He stopped before closing it. "Do not shut me out again," she said. "I am trying to protect something." "What?" "People who did nothing wrong." She studied his face. "Is this about my father's workers?" Daniel looked toward the hall. "Give me 5 minutes." Then he closed the door. Inside the room, he answered the phone. A man spoke at once. "Mr. Cole, Grant has canceled the deal exactly as we expected." Daniel walked to the window. "Why?" "Someone offered him more money to walk away." "Who?" "We are still checking, but the payment came through a company linked to Victor Hale." Daniel's eyes narrowed. "Victor?" "Yes, sir." Through the glass, Daniel saw Victor pretending to comfort Chief Bello. "What is the condition of Bello Holdings?" Daniel asked. "Bad. They have enough money for less than 3 weeks. If the banks refuse another loan, the factories will close." "And the workers?" 643 people could lose their jobs. Daniel closed his eyes for one moment. "That will not happen." "Should we buy the company?" "No." "Should we expose Victor?" "Not yet." There was a short silence. "What do you want us to do?" "Move enough money into a safe account to cover 3 months of wages, rent, power, and factory costs." "That is a large amount." "I know." "Under whose name?" Daniel looked at the closed door. "Use the Hope Worker Fund." "Sir, that fund does not exist." "It does now." "And Bello Holdings?" "Do not tell Chief Bello where the money came from. Send the offer through the workers' bank. Make it look like a short rescue plan with no shares taken." The man sounded confused. "You want to save the company after the way he treated you?" "I want to save the workers." They did not laugh at me. "What about Victor's offer?" "Let him make it." "Sir, if Chief Bello signs with him, Victor could gain control before our money arrives. Then make sure our offer reaches the company first." "How soon?" "Within 1 hour." "Yes, sir." Daniel lowered his voice. "And continue with the other plan. The cars are ready. Keep them outside the city until I call." "Yes, Mr. Cole." Daniel ended the call. Saving the company would protect hundreds of families and a man who had just rejected him. A soft knock came at the door. "Daniel," Amara said from outside, "your 5 minutes are almost over." He placed the phone in his pocket and opened the door. Amara looked at him. "Who were you talking to?" "A man who works with me." "Did you help my father?" "I helped the people who may lose their jobs." Her eyes widened. "How?" "I cannot explain yet." "Daniel, stop saying that. I know it is hard." "Hard?" Her voice shook. "My father may lose his company. Hundreds of people may lose their jobs. And you are standing here telling me you did something but cannot tell me what." Daniel lowered his voice. "I moved money where it needs to go." Amara stared at him. "How much money?" "Enough." "Enough for what?" "To keep the factories open for a while." She stepped back. "You have that kind of money?" Before he could answer, the wedding planner rushed over. "Amara, your father needs you. Victor is asking him to sign something." Victor stood at the main table with papers spread before Chief Bello. "This is the only way," Victor said. "Sign now, and I will send the money before morning." Chief Bello's hand shook around a pen. Amara reached the table. "Do not sign." Victor looked angry. "You do not understand business. I understand that you are trying to take almost half his company. I am trying to save it." Daniel stood behind Amara. Victor saw him and smiled. "Did your secret call solve everything?" Daniel said nothing. Chief Bello lifted the pen. "I have no other choice." At that moment his phone rang. He answered quickly. "Yes." "What bank?" he asked. He listened and sat down. "How much?" Mrs. Bello leaned close. "What is it?" "No shares?" he asked into the phone. "No control of the company?" Victor's smile faded. Chief Bello listened for another moment. "Send the papers now." The call ended. "What happened?" Amara asked. Her father looked stunned. "A new worker rescue fund has offered enough money to cover 3 months of wages and factory costs." Victor grabbed the papers from the table. "That is impossible." Chief Bello looked at him. "They want no shares." "Then it is a trick. They are using the workers' bank. The money has already been approved." Amara slowly turned toward Daniel. He stood quietly beside her, his hands empty and his face calm. She remembered his words in the hallway. I moved money where it needs to go. Daniel, she whispered. He met her eyes but said nothing. Across the room, Victor stared at him too. For the first time, Victor was no longer laughing. Victor stared at Daniel as if he had seen a ghost. The white envelope still hung from his hand, but his fingers had stopped moving. You did this, he said. Daniel remained beside Amara. Did what? You arranged that money. Chief Bello looked from Victor to Daniel. Do not be foolish. He could not arrange a taxi, yet you think he arranged millions? Amara did not laugh. She kept her eyes on Daniel. He told me he moved money where it needed to go. Mrs. Bello stepped closer. Daniel, is that true? Daniel looked at Amara first. Her face was full of questions, and silence would hurt her more. I made one call, he said. Chief Bello gave a cold laugh. One call? Yes. And we are supposed to believe one call from you saved 600 workers? I did not ask you to believe anything. Victor pushed past a chair. Stop speaking in riddles. Who are you? Daniel's black phone began to ring again. This time, the sound cut through the quiet room like an alarm. He took it from his pocket and answered. Yes. A man spoke on the other end. Daniel listened without looking away from Victor. Bring them in, he said. He ended the call. Victor frowned. Bring who in? Daniel slipped the phone back into his pocket. You will see. A deep sound came from outside. It seemed like thunder as more engines joined it. The guests moved toward the windows. One black car stopped at the hotel entrance. Then another came behind it. The third followed. Soon, a line of shining cars filled the road. The room went still. Laura pressed her face close to the glass. Who are all those people? People stepped from the cars. Some wore dark suits and carried files. Hotel workers rushed outside, opening doors and clearing the entrance. Chief Bello walked toward the window. That is Mr. Adeyemi. Mrs. Bello joined him. The bank owner? Yes. Another man stepped from the next car. Chief Bello's voice dropped. And that is Helen Cross. Victor turned sharply. The head of Cross Energy? A third person appeared, followed by two assistants. Someone near the back whispered, That is the minister's business advisor. The guests now pushed toward the entrance. Phones rose, but nobody smiled. Chief Bello faced the hotel manager. Why are these people here? The manager shook his head. I do not know, sir. They did not speak to me. Daniel picked up his bag. Amara caught his arm. Daniel, what is happening? He looked at her. The truth is coming inside. The doors opened. Mr. Adeyemi entered first. He was an older man with gray hair and a careful walk. Chief Bello rushed forward with both hands stretched out. Mr. Adeyemi, this is a great surprise. The banker walked past him. Chief Bello froze. Helen Cross entered behind him. Victor smiled and moved toward her. Helen, I did not know you were invited. She ignored him too. The powerful visitors entered the hall. None went toward Chief Bello, Victor, or the main table. They walked straight toward Daniel. Everyone moved aside. Mr. Adeyemi stopped in front of Daniel and lowered his head while the entire room watched. Good afternoon, Mr. Cole. Helen Cross did the same. Congratulations on your wedding, sir. Others followed. Congratulations, Mr. Cole. It is an honor to be here, sir. We came as soon as your office called. Shocked whispers moved through the hall. Amara stared at Daniel. Why are they calling you, sir? Daniel turned, but Victor spoke first. This is some kind of show. Mr. Adeyemi looked at him. Be careful how you speak. Victor laughed, though the sound was weak. You expect us to believe this man is important because a few people bowed? Helen Cross stepped forward. A few people? Victor's face tightened. She pointed toward Daniel. This man controls business deals larger than your entire company. Chief Bello shook his head. That is impossible. Mr. Adeyemi faced him. No, Chief Bello. What is impossible is that you invited half the business world to a wedding and failed to recognize the richest man in the room. A glass fell from someone's hand and broke against the floor. Amara barely heard it. She kept staring at Daniel. Richest man. Daniel's eyes stayed on her. Amara, I was going to tell you. When? Today. After everyone laughed at you? I needed to know something first. Chief Bello stepped closer. What exactly do you own? A tall woman in a dark suit entered with a silver case. She stopped beside him. Sir, the board is waiting for your final word. Daniel nodded. They can wait. Chief Bello looked at her. Who are you? My name is Grace Morgan. I am the head lawyer for Cole Global. The room exploded with voices. Cole Global? That cannot be him. Nobody knows what the owner looks like. I heard he lives outside the country. Grace waited for the noise to fall. Mr. Daniel Cole is the founder and main owner of Cole Global. Victor's face lost all color. Cole Global owned banks, hotels, factories, farms, shipping companies, and technology firms across several countries. Its name appeared on buildings, roads, and large projects. Newspapers often spoke about its hidden founder, but Daniel rarely allowed his picture to be taken. Chief Bello's mouth opened, but no words came out. Amara stepped away from Daniel. You own Cole Global? Yes. You told me you managed business matters. I do. You made it sound like you worked in a small office. Daniel's voice became gentle. I know. Mrs. Bello held onto a chair. How rich are you? Daniel did not answer. Mr. Adeyemi answered for him. Rich enough that no person in this room should have laughed at his scooter, though his money should not be the reason you respect him. Laura slowly lowered her phone. Chief Bello looked at the guests who had mocked Daniel. Many now avoided his eyes. Victor forced a smile. Anyone can claim to own a company. Grace opened the silver case and removed several papers. These are signed company records. Would you like to read them? Victor did not move. She continued. The Hope Worker Fund that saved Bello Holdings was opened this afternoon under Mr. Cole's order. The full amount came from one of his private accounts. Chief Bello looked at Daniel. You saved my company? I protected your workers. After everything I said to you? Daniel's jaw tightened. They did not say those things. Mrs. Bello began to cry quietly. A young man rushed into the hall carrying a tablet. He stopped beside Grace. Sir, the reports you requested are ready. Daniel nodded. Keep them secure. Victor stared at the tablet. What reports? Daniel looked at him. You seem nervous. I am not nervous. Then stop asking. The same guests who had laughed at Daniel now began moving closer. One man straightened his jacket. Mr. Cole, I hope you understood that my comments were only jokes. A woman smiled too quickly. We always knew Amara had chosen well. Daniel looked at them without warmth. 10 minutes ago, you called me useless. The woman's smile vanished. Laura came forward slowly. Daniel, we are family now. Amara turned to her. You said our love would not last longer than his scooter. I was trying to make everyone laugh. You did. Laura looked at Daniel. I am sorry. He gave no answer. Chief Bello moved closer, his voice suddenly soft. My son. There has been a terrible mistake. Amara looked at him in disbelief. My son. Chief Bello ignored her. You should have told us who you were. Daniel's face hardened. Would you have treated me better? Of course. That is the problem. No one spoke. Outside, more cars continued to arrive. The old blue scooter still stood beside them, small and dusty among machines worth more than many homes. Victor looked through the window and then back at Daniel. You planned all of this, he said. Daniel met his eyes. I planned to arrive and marry Amara. You wanted to shame us. No, you did that yourselves. Grace stepped beside Daniel. Sir, the press has gathered outside. They want confirmation that the founder of Cole Global was married here today. The guests gasped again. Amara looked at Daniel, no longer seeing the simple man she thought she knew. He was still wearing the plain suit. His old shoes had not changed. Yet the strongest people in the city waited for his words. Daniel held out his hand to her. Amara, I know you deserve answers. She looked at his hand but did not take it. Not here, she said. Not in front of all these people. Daniel lowered his hand. Chief Bello tried to speak, but Daniel raised one finger. No more, Daniel said. The room obeyed. For the first time that day, nobody laughed at the man who had arrived on the old scooter. Daniel looked around the hall. No one laughed now. The people who had mocked his clothes tried to stand closer, but he ignored their sudden smiles. He turned to Amara. There is a quiet room upstairs. We can speak there. Amara folded her arms. You should have spoken before today. I know. That does not fix it. No, but the truth may help. She looked at the guests watching them. Her father stood with his head low. Her mother kept wiping her eyes. Victor had moved toward the back of the room, but his stare never left Daniel. Fine, Amara said. Let us talk. Daniel led her toward the stairs. Grace followed them for a few steps, but he raised a hand. No one comes with us. Yes, sir, Grace replied. Amara noticed how quickly the lawyer obeyed. It made the space between her and Daniel feel wider. They entered a small room above the hall. It had 2 chairs and a window facing the gate. Amara could see the old scooter between rows of black cars. Daniel closed the door. Amara stayed standing. Start from the beginning. He placed his jacket over a chair. My full name is Daniel Elijah Cole. I started Cole Global 12 years ago. 12 years? She asked. You were barely an adult. I was 20. How? With a small delivery company, 1 borrowed truck, and more debt than sense. Amara shook her head. You told me you worked with business owners. I did. You did not tell me you owned the businesses. No. Why? Daniel pulled out a chair for her, but she did not sit. Because the moment people learn my name, they stop seeing me. That makes no sense. It will. He sat down. When Cole Global became successful, people who ignored me suddenly wanted to be my friends. Men laughed at bad jokes. Women said they loved me before knowing me. Amara's eyes narrowed. You think I would have done that? No. Then why did you hide it from me? Because I did not know that at first. So you tested me. Daniel looked down. Yes. She took a step back. Our whole relationship was a test? No. My feelings were real. But you watched me like I was applying for a job. That is not how it began. Then tell me how it began. Daniel lifted his eyes. The day we met, an old woman dropped her bag outside a store. Fruit rolled into the road. Everyone walked around her, but you helped. Amara remembered the day. Daniel had been wearing simple jeans and holding a paper cup. You were watching me? I was waiting for a taxi. Then you missed your bus because you stayed with her. I offered you a ride. On that scooter. Yes. You said it was the only thing you owned. I said it was the oldest thing I owned. Amara stared at him. That was clever. It was dishonest. Daniel did not defend himself. She sat down. What happened after your company became rich? I tried to live the way people expected. I bought large homes, expensive cars, and clothes I did not like. I went to events every night because my advisors said powerful people needed to see me. And women? Daniel paused. There were women. Amara's fingers tightened around the edge of the chair. They wanted Daniel Cole, the man in the newspapers, he continued. One woman brought a list of houses she wanted before our 3rd meeting. Another secretly called a reporter and told him we were engaged. We had never even discussed marriage. So you decided every woman was greedy? No. I decided I could not tell who was honest. That still does not give you the right to lie to me. You are right. The simple answer stopped her anger for a second. Daniel leaned forward. I met you while I was living quietly for a few months. I wanted to breathe without guards and cameras. I expected to return to my normal life. Then you kept talking to me. You were the one who asked for my number. And you refused. Amara wanted to smile but held it back. You were a stranger on a noisy scooter. You said my helmet smelled like onions. It did. My driver had carried food in it. She stared at him. Your driver? He nodded. Amara covered her face for a moment. Even the helmet had a secret. I bought a new one after that. You should have bought honesty. I should have. Silence filled the room. Reporters gathered below while guards held them back. Amara looked at the scooter. Why keep that old thing if you have all those cars? Daniel followed her eyes. It belonged to my father. He bought it when I was 10, Daniel continued. We had almost nothing. My mother had died and he worked 2 jobs. In the morning, he carried bread to shops. At night, he cleaned offices. He used that scooter in the rain, under the hot sun, and even when he was sick. Some days, it broke down and we pushed it home together. When I wanted to leave school and work, he refused. He said I would build something better with my mind. He sold his tools to pay my first school fee. What happened to him? He died before Coal Global became successful. Amara's anger softened, but it did not disappear. I am sorry. He nodded. The scooter is the last thing I have that still feels like him. I repaired it many times. I could replace every part, but I never wanted to replace the whole thing. Why bring it today? Because my father once told me that the person I married should know the boy who pushed that scooter, not only the man who owns hundreds of cars. Amara looked outside. Did you expect people to laugh? I thought some might. So this was planned. The scooter was planned. The cruelty was their choice. And you said nothing while they attacked you. I needed to see how people treated me when they thought I had nothing. Amara stood again. Including me. Daniel rose too. Yes. That is the part one cannot accept. I understand. No, you do not. I stood against my father. I gave up my job, my home, and my place in the company. I thought we were stepping into a hard life together. I would never have allowed you to suffer. But I did not know that. I made my choice while afraid. That is why your choice mattered. Amara's eyes filled with tears. Do you hear yourself? You are praising me for passing a test I never agreed to take. Daniel's face fell. You are right. You keep saying that. Because I was wrong. Then why wait until the wedding? Daniel moved closer but did not touch her. I was afraid that telling you earlier would change something between us. It has changed something now. I know. She wiped one tear away. Did you ever plan to marry me as Daniel, the poor man, and keep hiding everything? No. The papers in Grace's case include my full records and a letter for you. I planned to tell you after the ceremony. After I could no longer walk away without shame. Daniel looked struck by the words. I did not think of it that way. You should have. Yes. Amara looked at him for a long time. Why me? Because you were kind when nobody was watching. Because you listened when I spoke about my father. Because you did not ask what I earned on our first, second, or 10th meeting. Because when the scooter broke down one night, you helped me push it for 2 miles and laughed the whole way. I was angry that night. You laughed after you called it a blue goat. She almost smiled. Daniel continued, I did not fall in love with you because you passed a test. I fell in love with you because every day with you felt honest. Then I ruined that honesty by hiding too much. A knock sounded at the door. Sir, Grace called from outside. The press is demanding a statement. Daniel did not answer her. He kept looking at Amara. Tell them to wait. Grace paused. Yes, sir. Amara walked toward the door, then stopped. I need time. You can have it. I am not saying everything is fine. I know. I married the man on the scooter. I do not yet know the man all those people bowed to. Daniel's eyes were full of pain. They are the same man. Then prove it without another test. She opened the door and stepped into the hallway. Daniel remained by the window. Below him, the old scooter stood under the lights, holding the memory of the poor boy he had once been and the secret that had nearly cost him the woman he loved. Amara walked down the hallway with tears still warm on her face. She had only taken a few steps when Grace came toward her holding the silver case. Mrs. Cole, are you all right? Amara almost corrected the name. Then she remembered that she had married Daniel less than an hour ago. I do not know, she said. Before Amara could answer, loud voices rose from the stairs. Victor was arguing with one of Daniel's guards. Get out of my way! Victor shouted. "I was invited to this wedding." The guard blocked him. Mr. Cole asked everyone to remain downstairs. Victor saw Amara. "Tell this man to move." "Why are you coming upstairs?" she asked. "Your husband lied to you. That is between Daniel and me." A door opened behind Amara. Daniel came into the hallway. "What is happening?" he asked. Daniel looked at the guard. "Let him pass." Victor walked forward. "You plan to embarrass everyone here." Daniel shook his head. "You keep blaming me for what you did." Victor's eyes moved. "What I did?" Grace opened the silver case. "Sir, the final reports are ready." Daniel looked at Amara. "You asked me to prove that the man you married and the man they bowed to are the same person. I need to show you something." "Show me," she said. Daniel led them into a small meeting room. Grace entered with Amara. Victor tried to follow. Daniel stopped at the door. "Come in. I want you to hear everything." Inside, Grace placed a tablet and several papers on the table. Grace opened the first file. At 8 this morning, a black wedding car was sent to Mr. Cole's home. Amara looked at Daniel. "There was a car?" "Yes, the scooter was meant to follow later. I planned to show it to you after the ceremony." "Then why did you arrive on it?" Grace turned the tablet toward her. A picture showed a black car beside a road. Its front wheel leaned at a strange angle. "The car broke down 12 miles from the hotel," Grace said. "Two important parts had been cut." Amara stared at the picture. "Cut?" "Yes, it was not an accident." Victor folded his arms. "Cars break down every day." Grace opened another picture. "These marks were made by a tool." Daniel looked at Victor. "Your man was there." Grace played a short video. It showed a parking area behind Daniel's home. A man in a cap moved toward the wedding car before sunrise. He bent near the front wheel and stayed there for several minutes. His jacket carried the name of Victor's transport company. Amara turned toward Victor. "Who is he?" "I do not know." Grace touched the screen, and a second picture appeared. It showed the same man standing beside Victor outside an office. Victor's face tightened. "Many people work for me." "His name is Paul Reed," Grace said. "He has been your private driver for 4 years." Victor pointed at the screen. "A picture proves nothing." Grace opened a message report. "At 6:30 this morning, you sent him the address of Mr. Cole's home." Victor stepped back. "That is private. You used a company phone." Amara felt cold. "Why would you damage the car?" Victor looked at her. "I did not." Daniel's voice stayed calm. "You wanted me to arrive late or not arrive at all." "That is a lie. You knew I would use the scooter if the car failed." Amara looked between them. "How did he know about the scooter?" Daniel answered. "He saw me riding it 2 months ago." Victor said. "Anyone could have seen you." "But not everyone followed me home," Daniel replied. Amara stared at Victor. "You followed him?" "I wanted to know who you were marrying." "You wanted something you could use against him." Victor's face grew red. "Your father asked me to check him." Chief Bellow's voice came from the doorway. "I asked you to learn about his work. I did not ask you to damage a car." Chief Bellow and Mrs. Bellow stood outside. "I wanted answers, not a crime," Chief Bellow said. Mrs. Bellow looked at her husband. "Is that true?" Chief Bellow lowered his eyes. "I thought Daniel was hiding something." "So you sent Victor after him?" Amara asked. "I made a mistake." Daniel looked at Grace. "Continue." Grace opened another file. 3 weeks ago, a company linked to Victor paid Mr. Grant to leave the Bellow Holdings deal. Chief Bellow stepped into the room. "What?" Grace placed a bank paper on the table. "The payment came through Hale Trade Services. Victor owns that company." Chief Bellow grabbed the paper. "You caused Grant to pull out?" "The record is here," Grace said. Victor looked at Chief Bellow. "I was trying to help you. By destroying my deal? Grant's money would only delay the end. Your company is failing. So you created the crisis and then offered me a loan," Chief Bellow said. "I offered a way out. You asked for 40% of my company. I was taking a risk. Daniel stepped forward. There was no risk. You planned to gain control after the company lost its investor. Victor pointed at him. You buy weak companies too. I do not make them weak first. Amara's voice shook. Did you pay Grant? Victor did not answer. Look at me, she said. Did you pay him to leave my father's company? I did what was needed. Amara stepped back as if he had struck her. Chief Bello crushed the paper in his hand. 600 workers could have lost their jobs. They would have kept their jobs after I took control. And my father? Amara asked. Victor looked at Chief Bello. He would keep a small place on the board. Chief Bello rushed forward, but Daniel caught his arm. Let me go, Chief Bello shouted. He tried to steal everything I built. Daniel held him back. Do not make this worse. Victor fixed his jacket. You all needed me. No, Amara said. You needed us to be afraid. Victor looked at her. I did it for you. You damaged Daniel's car for me? I wanted you to see him as weak. You attacked my father's company for me? I wanted to save it and give you the life you deserved. Amara's eyes filled again. You wanted to own everything around me, including me. Victor slammed his hand on the table. I loved you before he came. You never loved me. You wanted to win. Grace closed the tablet. We also have the driver's statement. He has agreed to speak to the police. You called the police? Victor asked. Not yet. I wanted Amara and her family to hear the truth first, Daniel said. Chief Bello pointed at him. Call them now. Daniel looked at Amara. That choice is not mine alone. Victor stepped toward her. Amara, listen to me. Everyone knew I was the better choice. Better because you had money? She asked. Yes. Daniel spoke softly. That was the only thing you believed made you better. Victor looked at Daniel's plain suit. Now you can pretend money does not matter because you have more than anyone. Amara answered before Daniel could. Daniel hid his wealth and that hurt me. But when my father's workers were in danger, he helped them. You used your wealth to place those workers in danger. Victor's face twisted. So you forgive him? I did not say that. The words hit both men. Amara looked at Daniel. You lied because you feared I might love your money. Victor lied because he wanted power. Both of you made choices for me without asking me. Daniel lowered his head. You are right. Victor laughed. There he goes again, acting humble. At least he can admit when he is wrong, Amara said. 2 police officers appeared at the end of the hallway. Grace had called them while Victor was speaking. Victor looked around. You said you had not called them. Daniel's eyes stayed cold. I had not. Grace did. The officers entered and asked Victor to step away from the table. He pointed at Amara. Tell them this is a family matter. It stopped being a family matter when you tried to destroy hundreds of lives, she replied. As they led him out, Victor looked back at Daniel. This is not over. For today it is, Daniel said. Victor looked at Amara, but she turned away. No one there tried to stop them, and no one could pretend that Victor was innocent any longer now. Chief Bello sat heavily in a chair. Mrs. Bello stood beside him, silent and pale. Daniel remained near the window, giving Amara space. The truth was now in the open. Victor had caused the broken car and the crisis that almost destroyed her father's company. But as Amara looked at Daniel, one hard question still remained. After everything both men had hidden, who could she truly trust? Amara kept looking at Daniel while the police led Victor down the stairs. The hallway slowly became quiet, but the silence felt heavier than the shouting that had filled it before. Chief Bello sat with both hands on his knees. Mrs. Bello stood beside him. Neither of them knew what to say. Daniel did not move closer to Amara. You asked who you can trust, he said. You do not have to answer today. Amara looked at him. You keep giving me time now, but you did not give me the truth before. I know, and my family only began to respect you after they saw your cars. Daniel turned toward Chief Bello. That is what I am wondering too. Chief Bello raised his head. Daniel, I was wrong. Daniel's face stayed calm. About what? About you. Because I am rich? Chief Bello opened his mouth, then closed it. Daniel stepped nearer. If I owned nothing but that scooter, would you still be sorry? Mrs. Bello began to cry again. We were afraid for our daughter. You laughed while she was being hurt, Daniel said. I did not laugh. You stood beside people who did. Mrs. Bello lowered her eyes. Chief Bello rose from the chair. I judged you too quickly. You judged me by my clothes, my car, and what you thought was in my bank account. I wanted Amara to have a safe life. Daniel's voice became firm. A safe life with Victor? Chief Bello looked toward the stairs where Victor had been taken away. I did not know what he was doing, he said. You knew how he treated people. I thought he was proud, not dangerous. You watched him shame me. Chief Bello breathed in slowly. Yes, and you joined him. Chief Bello looked at Amara. I thought I was protecting you. Amara shook her head. You were protecting your pride. Her father looked hurt. Amara, you cared more about what the guests thought than how I felt. I made a mistake. No, father. You made many choices. You invited Victor. You asked him to investigate Daniel. You threatened to remove me from the company. Then you called Daniel your son the moment you learned he was rich. Chief Bello's shoulders fell. Mrs. Bello reached for Amara's hand, but Amara stepped back. Please, her mother said. We are still your family. You told me love would not feed me. I was scared. Would you be scared now if Daniel were poor? Mrs. Bello could not answer. Daniel turned toward Grace. Please ask everyone downstairs to leave the hotel. Chief Bello looked surprised. This is still my daughter's wedding. Daniel faced him. The wedding ended when the guests turned it into a place of shame. Amara spoke softly. Let them go. Grace nodded and left. Chief Bello rubbed his forehead. What do you want from us? Daniel answered, Honesty. I said I am sorry. I heard you. I am asking why. Chief Bello looked through the window at the black cars outside. I am sorry because I treated a good man badly. How do you know I am good? You saved my workers. You did not know that when I arrived. No. If I had not saved them, would your answer be different? Chief Bello remained silent. Daniel nodded. That silence is your answer. Mrs. Bello stepped forward. Then tell us how to make this right. Daniel looked at Amara. That is not for me to decide. Amara walked to the table where her wedding flowers had been placed. The bright flowers now looked tired. She touched one petal, then turned toward her parents. I do not need you to bow to Daniel, she said. I need you to understand why what you did was wrong. Chief Bello nodded quickly. I understand. No, you understand that he is powerful. That is not the same thing. Her father looked down. Amara continued. You believed a poor man could be insulted because he had nothing to give you. You believed money made Victor better. Now you know Daniel has more money than Victor, and suddenly you want Daniel close. Chief Bello's eyes filled with shame. What should I say? He asked. Say what you would say if Daniel truly owned only that old scooter. Chief Bello looked at Daniel for a long moment. Then he walked toward him and stopped. If the scooter was all you owned, I should still have welcomed you because my daughter chose you, he said. I should have asked how you treated her, not how much money you had. I should have judged your heart, not your clothes. Daniel watched him carefully. Chief Bello continued, I do not deserve your trust today. I will not ask you to call me father. But I am sorry for every word I used to make you feel small. Daniel gave a slow nod. That sounds honest. Mrs. Bello wiped her cheeks. I am sorry too. I saw Amara standing alone, and I still told her to leave you. I was afraid of losing comfort. I should have been afraid of losing my daughter. Amara's anger softened, but she did not run into her mother's arms. I need time, she said. Mrs. Bello nodded. I will wait. Laura appeared at the end of the hallway. She had removed her shoes and held them in one hand. Her face was red from crying. May I speak? She asked. Amara looked at her. Speak. Laura walked closer. I made jokes because I wanted people to notice me. When everyone laughed, I felt important. Daniel said nothing. Laura looked at him. I am sorry I used your pain to make myself look funny. Would you be sorry if I were poor? Daniel asked. Laura swallowed. I want to say yes, but I do not know. I only saw how ugly I looked after I learned the truth. That is more honest than the other answers, Daniel said. Laura nodded with tears in her eyes. I will do better. Amara looked around the room at the people who had suddenly learned how cruel they had been. Then she noticed the gold necklace around her own neck. It was a wedding gift from her father. The stones were worth more than many workers earned in years. She lifted her hands and removed it. Mrs. Bello frowned. What are you doing? Amara placed the necklace on the table. Then she removed her diamond earrings and gold bracelets. Chief Bello stepped forward. Those belong to you. No, they belong to the life you wanted me to choose. Amara, you do not have to prove anything. Yes, I do, but not to you. She turned toward Daniel. He watched her with worry. Amara slipped off the costly ring her father had given her before the ceremony and placed it beside the necklace. She kept only the simple wedding ring Daniel had put on her finger. Daniel spoke quietly. You do not need to give those things away. I am not doing this because money is bad. Then why? Because I need you to hear me without any doubt. She walked toward him. When I stood outside and took your hand, I thought the scooter was all you had, she said. I believed we might live in one small room. I believed I might have to work 2 jobs. I was afraid, but I still chose you. Daniel's eyes became wet. Amara continued, I did not choose Cole Global. I did not choose the black cars or the people who bowed. I chose the man who listened when I spoke, brought soup when I was sick, and stayed with me when my father shouted. Daniel reached for her, then stopped. Are you saying you forgive me? I am saying I love you. Forgiveness will take work. He nodded. I will do the work. No more tests. Never again. No more hidden phones. I will show you everything. No more telling me later when you can tell me now. I promise. Amara looked through the window at the scooter. If that old scooter were truly everything you owned, I would still be your wife. Daniel finally understood that her love had never depended on his money. The simple touch did not erase the hurt between them, but it gave them a place to begin. Chief Bello watched their joined hands and seemed to understand that he could not buy his way back into their trust. Mrs. Bello quietly picked up the jewelry and placed it inside its box, not to return it yet, but to keep it safe until Amara decided what to do. Laura stepped away without making another joke. For once, nobody in the room really cared about the cars, the company, or the money waiting outside. He held out his hand, not as a rich man asking to be trusted, but as the same quiet man she had chosen outside. This time, Amara took it. Daniel closed his fingers around Amara's hand, and for the first time that day, she did not feel trapped between 2 worlds. She was still hurt, but she was no longer alone. Around them, the costly flowers, gold chairs, and shining lights felt less important than the quiet promise in Daniel's eyes. Chief Bello cleared his throat. What happens to my company now? Daniel turned toward him. The rescue money stays. Chief Bello looked surprised. Even after everything? The workers still need their jobs. And the company? You will keep control of it, but there will be new rules. Chief Bello's face tightened. What rules? No hidden loans. No risky deals without a full report. No using workers as numbers on a page. Chief Bello nodded slowly. That is fair. Daniel looked toward Grace, who had returned to the room. Set up a team to check every account. The workers must be paid first. Yes, sir, Grace said. Chief Bello looked ashamed. You are saving what I almost lost. Daniel shook his head. I am giving you time. What you do with that time will show whether you deserve it. Mrs. Bello touched her husband's arm. We will do better. Daniel did not answer. He had heard many promises that day. Downstairs, the guests were leaving in small groups. Some walked quickly because they were ashamed. Others stayed near the doors, hoping Daniel might speak to them. A man who had laughed at the scooter stepped forward. Mr. Cole, I own a building company. Perhaps we can meet next week. Daniel looked at him. Why? The man smiled. To discuss business. You did not want to speak with me this morning. I did not know who you were. You knew I was a person. The man's smile disappeared. Daniel walked past him. A woman hurried over. Mrs. Cole, your wedding was lovely. Amara stopped. You called my husband a street beggar. The woman looked around. I was only repeating what someone else said. You chose to repeat it. The woman lowered her head and moved away. At the main doors, the hotel cleaners stood beside the walls. They had watched the guests laugh, but none of them had joined in. One young cleaner had even brought Daniel water when the scooter stopped outside. Daniel walked to him. What is your name? Samuel, sir. Thank you for the water. Samuel looked shocked. It was only water. It was kindness when others were cruel. Daniel asked Grace to write down Samuel's name. Then he thanked the guards, cooks, drivers, and servers who had worked through the trouble without insulting anyone. Amara watched him and smiled. This is the man I married. Daniel looked at her. I hope I can become the man you thought I was. You can start by never testing me again. I heard that very clearly. The next morning, Daniel and Amara did not wake inside a palace. Amara had refused to leave the hotel in one of the black cars. She stayed in a simple room with Daniel, where they talked until sunrise. When the sun rose, Daniel said, I want to give you the wedding we should have had. We are already married. I know. I mean a day without people trying to shame us. Amara sat beside him. No cameras. No cameras. No business leaders. Only the ones you truly want. No gold stage. Daniel smiled. I can live without a gold stage. Amara thought for a moment. Invite the workers. Which workers? All of them. The factory workers, hotel staff, drivers, cleaners, and the people who treated us like human beings before they knew your name. Daniel's smile grew. That sounds perfect. 1 week later, a second celebration was held in the open yard beside the oldest bellow factory. There were no tall gates, crystal lights, or red carpets. Long tables stood under white cloth covers. Children ran between the chairs while music played from simple speakers. The factory workers came with their families. Samuel came with his mother. The hotel cooks brought food, and the cleaners helped decorate the yard with flowers made from paper. Amara wore a plain white dress. Daniel wore the same dark suit from the first wedding, but the sleeves had been fixed. You kept the suit, Amara said. It survived the first wedding. So did we. Barely. She laughed and straightened his collar. Chief Bello and Mrs. Bello arrived without a line of guards. Chief Bello walked toward Daniel with a folder in his hands. What is that? Daniel asked. A new company plan, Chief Bello said. The workers will now receive part of the profit each year. Daniel opened the folder and read the first page. This was your idea? Amara helped. Amara smiled. He argued for 3 hours. Chief Bello looked at her. And lost. Daniel handed the folder back. This is a good start. Chief Bello nodded. I know trust will take time. It will. I am ready to earn it. Daniel held out his hand. Chief Bello shook it, but neither man pretended that one handshake had fixed everything. Laura arrived carrying a box of small cakes. I made these myself. Amara looked inside. Some were burnt at the edges. They looked dangerous, she said. Laura laughed, then quickly stopped. Was that cruel? No. This time it was true. They both smiled. During the meal, Daniel stood before the workers. He did not use a tall stage. He stood on the ground with everyone else. Many of you nearly lost your jobs because powerful people treated your lives like pieces in a game, he said. That should never have happened. The yard became quiet. The rescue money will keep the factories open, but money alone will not fix every problem. From today, workers will have people at every important meeting. No large choice will be made without someone speaking for the families who depend on this company. A woman near the front raised her hand. Does that mean we can tell Chief Bello when he is wrong? The crowd laughed. Chief Bello stood. Yes. Even when you enjoy it too much. The workers clapped. Daniel continued, "This company will not belong to one proud man. It will be built by everyone who works here." When he finished, the people did not bow. They surrounded him, shook his hand, and spoke to him like a man, not a king. That meant more to Daniel than the greetings from the powerful guests at the hotel. Later, Grace told him that Victor had been charged for damaging the car and trying to take control of Bello Holdings through lies. His company had also lost several deals after the truth became public. Should Cole Global buy his company? Grace asked. No, Daniel said. We could take it for a very low price. I do not want it. What about the guests who asked for meetings? Cancel them. All of them. Anyone who laughed at the workers, the hotel staff, or Amara can do business somewhere else. Grace nodded. Understood. Daniel looked across the yard at workers eating with their children. He remembered the grand hall, where people had measured him by a car. Here, nobody asked how much he owned. A boy waved a paper flower at him, and Daniel waved back. Amara saw the peace on his face and understood that this simple place had given him more joy than the shining rooms he controlled. As evening came, the workers gathered near the yard entrance. A soft engine sound came from behind the factory. Put, 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 put. The old blue scooter rolled into view. Amara covered her mouth. You repaired it. Daniel stopped in front of her. Both mirrors were now in place, the light was fixed, and the smoke was gone. The paint still had scratches, but Daniel had kept every mark he could. I repaired what was broken, he said. I did not replace what mattered. He handed her a helmet. Amara looked at her dress. You expect me to ride in this? You rode with me in the rain once. I was wearing trousers. I remember. The workers began cheering. Chief Bello walked over. There are 10 cars waiting. Amara placed the helmet on her head. Let them wait. She climbed onto the scooter behind Daniel and wrapped her arms around his waist. Daniel looked back. Are you ready, Mrs. Cole? Only if this blue goat gets us home. The scooter moved forward as the crowd laughed. But this laughter was warm. No one was mocking them now. They passed the black cars, the factory gates, and the people waving behind them. Daniel did not need to hide his wealth anymore, and Amara did not need his money to know his value. The richest man in the country left his wedding on an old scooter, carrying the one thing all his money could never buy. A woman who had chosen him when she believed he had nothing. Ethan Cole was the kind of man people thought had everything. At 32 years old, he owned hotels, companies, private jets, and homes so large that most people could not even imagine living inside them. Newspapers called him one of the youngest billionaires in the country. Business magazines put his face on their covers. Wherever he went, people stood up straighter. People listened when he spoke. But there was one thing nobody knew. No matter how rich he became, no matter how many awards he won, there was always a small empty place inside him. A place he never talked about. A place shaped exactly like one person. And now that person was standing right in front of him. For a moment, Ethan forgot how to breathe. The wedding ballroom around him disappeared. The music disappeared. The voices disappeared. The hundreds of guests disappeared. All he could see was her. The tray in her hands shook slightly. A few glasses rattled against each other. She wore a simple waitress uniform. Her shoes looked old. Her face looked tired. And her stomach was round. Pregnant. Ethan stared at her as if he had seen a ghost. Ava. The word barely escaped his lips. Across the room, Ava froze too. The color drained from her face. She looked like someone who had just walked into a nightmare. For 3 years she had not seen Ethan. 3 years. And now she had found him standing on a wedding stage beside another woman. The room suddenly felt too small. Ethan's heart pounded harder. Ava! He whispered again. The guests began noticing something was wrong. People turned their heads. Whispers spread through the ballroom. Who is she? Why is Ethan staring at that waitress? What is happening? Standing beside Ethan, Sophia smiled at first. Then her smile slowly faded. She followed his eyes. When she saw Ava, something flashed across her face. Something dark. Something nervous. Ethan? He didn't answer. Ethan? Still nothing. Sophia grabbed his arm. Ethan, what are you looking at? Finally, he blinked. The world rushed back into focus. But he still couldn't stop staring. Because Ava looked completely different from the woman he remembered. The Ava he knew used to laugh all the time. She used to run toward him. She used to dream with him. She used to talk for hours about the future they would build together. This Ava looked like life had hit her over and over again. And the sight hurt him more than he could explain. Sophia tightened her grip on his arm. Ethan, answer me. He swallowed. Who hired that waitress? Sophia frowned. What? Who hired her? A strange silence filled the space between them. I don't know, Sophia said carefully. Why? Ethan ignored her. His eyes never left Ava. At the same moment, Ava lowered her gaze. She quickly turned away. She started walking toward another table. Fast. Too fast. Like she wanted to escape. Like she wanted to disappear before he could reach her. Ethan took one step forward. Then another. The wedding coordinator rushed over. Sir, the ceremony starts in 5 minutes. Ethan didn't even look at him. Move. The man stepped aside immediately. Sophia grabbed Ethan's wrist. What are you doing? I need to talk to her. To a waitress? Ethan finally turned toward Sophia. His face had gone pale. She's not just a waitress. The words hit Sophia hard. Her eyes narrowed. What does that mean? Before Ethan could answer, Ava disappeared through a side door leading toward the service hallway. Ethan's heart dropped. No. Without another word, he started walking after her. The guests gasped. Phones appeared. People began recording. The wedding ceremony had not even started and already something felt terribly wrong. Sophia hurried after him. Ethan, stop. He kept moving. Ethan. The sound of her voice echoed through the ballroom. But he didn't stop. He pushed through the service door. The noise of the wedding vanished behind him. The hallway was quiet, cold, empty. For a second, he thought he had lost her. Then he spotted her at the far end, still carrying the tray, still walking away. Ava! She froze. Slowly, she turned around. For several seconds, neither of them spoke. The years between them seemed to hang in the air. 3 years of questions. 3 years of pain. 3 years of silence. Ethan took another step closer. Ava! Her eyes filled with emotion, but she quickly looked away. You should go back to your wedding. The calmness in her voice surprised him. It sounded forced, like someone trying very hard not to break. I've been looking for you. The second he said it, Ava laughed. A short laugh, painful laugh. Looking for her? The words sounded ridiculous. She shook her head. No, Ava, no. Her voice became firmer. You don't get to say that. Ethan stared, confused. What do you mean? Ava swallowed hard. For a moment she seemed ready to say something. Then she stopped herself. No, she whispered again. This is not the place. Sophia suddenly appeared in the hallway. Her heels clicked loudly against the floor. She stopped beside Ethan and looked directly at Ava. The two women locked eyes. The air instantly became tense. Sophia forced a smile. So you're Ava? Ava looked surprised. You know who I am? Sophia's smile widened slightly. I've heard a lot about you. Something about the way she said it made Ethan uncomfortable. Ava noticed it too. She adjusted her grip on the tray. Congratulations on the wedding. Sophia nodded. Thank you. Neither woman looked thankful. Neither woman looked comfortable. Ethan could feel the tension growing. Then Sophia glanced at Ava's stomach. A slow smile crossed her face. Looks like life moved on for both of us. Ava immediately stiffened. Ethan noticed, and something inside him tightened, because Sophia sounded almost pleased. As if she wanted him to notice the pregnancy. As if she wanted it to hurt. Ava looked down briefly. Then she lifted her head again. Her eyes met Ethan's. For the first time since seeing her, he noticed something there. Not anger, not hatred, disappointment, deep disappointment, and somehow that hurt more. Ethan, Ava said quietly, you should go. No. You have guests waiting. I don't care. You should. The words came out sharper than before. Sophia crossed her arms. Ava continued. You're getting married today. The sentence felt like a knife. Even Ethan could hear it. She took a slow breath, then added softly, You made your choice a long time ago. Ethan felt his chest tighten, because he didn't understand. What choice? He never chose to lose her. At least he didn't think he did. Ava, what happened 3 years ago? The question escaped before he could stop it. Immediately Ava's eyes widened. Then she looked away, as if the answer hurt too much. Sophia stepped forward. I think this conversation is over. Ethan ignored her. What happened? Ava's eyes became shiny. She blinked quickly, trying not to cry. For a few seconds nobody spoke. Finally she whispered, You really don't know? Ethan stared. The pain in her voice scared him, because it sounded like she believed he had betrayed her, like she believed he had abandoned her. And suddenly Ethan realized something. Maybe the story he had been told years ago was not true. Maybe Ava's disappearance was not what he thought. Maybe something terrible had happened. Something he didn't know. Ava looked at him one last time. Then she gave a sad smile. A smile that carried years of heartbreak. You should go marry your bride, Ethan. She turned around and walked away. This time she didn't stop. Ethan stood frozen in the hallway, watching her disappear. Watching the woman he once planned to spend his life with walk away carrying a tray of drinks while pregnant and alone. Behind him, Sophia's face had gone completely pale, because for the first time since she met Ethan, she saw something that terrified her. He was no longer looking at his future. He was looking at his past, and the past had just walked back into his life. Ethan remained standing in the hallway long after Ava disappeared around the corner. The tray she had been carrying was gone. The sound of her footsteps had faded away, yet somehow it felt as if she was still there. He could still see her face, still see the hurt in her eyes, still hear the question she asked. You really don't know? Those 4 words would not leave his head. Behind him, Sophia finally broke the silence. Ethan. He didn't answer. Ethan. Still nothing. She grabbed his arm. Look at me. Slowly, Ethan turned toward her. What? Sophia looked frustrated. What do you mean what? Our wedding starts in a few minutes. Ethan glanced toward the hallway where Ava had disappeared. His chest felt tight. I need to find her. Sophia stared at him. For a moment she looked like she could not believe what she was hearing. You need to find her? Yes. Your ex-girlfriend? Ethan said nothing. The woman who disappeared 3 years ago? I need answers. Sophia laughed nervously. Answers? Ethan, this is crazy. No. What's crazy is seeing her here after 3 years and realizing something doesn't make sense. Sophia folded her arms. What doesn't make sense? Ethan looked directly at her. The way she looked at me. Sophia rolled her eyes. What does that even mean? It means she looked at me like I betrayed her. Maybe you did. Ethan frowned. What? Sophia shrugged. You moved on. That's not what I mean. Then what do you mean? Ethan shook his head. I don't know. And that was the truth. For the first time in years, he felt completely lost. Because the Ava he remembered would never have looked at him that way. Not unless something terrible had happened. Something he didn't know. Something nobody had told him. The wedding coordinator suddenly rushed into the hallway. Mr. Cole, everyone is waiting. Ethan closed his eyes. He felt trapped. Guests were waiting. Business partners were waiting. Family members were waiting. Reporters were waiting. The biggest wedding of the year was waiting. Yet all he could think about was Ava. Sophia stepped closer. Please. Her voice softened. Let's just get through today. Ethan looked at her. For the first time, he noticed how nervous she seemed. Almost scared. That felt strange. Why would Sophia be scared? Unless... No. He pushed the thought away. The coordinator spoke again. Sir. Ethan finally nodded. Fine. Sophia let out a breath. Together they walked back toward the ballroom. But Ethan's mind stayed behind in that hallway. Far behind. Back with Ava. Back with the woman he once thought he would marry. Back with the woman he had loved with everything he had. And as he stepped into the ballroom, memories began crashing into him. Memories he had spent years trying not to think about. 3 years earlier, back when he wasn't standing beside Sophia. Back when his future looked completely different. Back when Ava was the center of his world. It had started on an ordinary afternoon. Ethan remembered it clearly. He had been leaving one of his office buildings after a long meeting. His phone would not stop ringing. Investors wanted something. Managers wanted something. Everyone wanted something. His head hurt. He just wanted 5 minutes of peace. Then someone bumped into him. Coffee splashed all over his expensive shirt. "Oh no!" A young woman jumped back. She looked horrified. "I'm so sorry." Ethan looked down at his ruined shirt. Then he looked up at her. She was trying very hard not to panic. "I'm really sorry," she said again. "You can yell at me if you want." Ethan stared. Then something unexpected happened. He laughed. The woman blinked. "What?" He pointed at her. "You think I want to yell at you?" She nodded. "Your shirt looks expensive." It was. "See?" Ethan laughed again. For some reason, talking to her felt easy, different. The woman sighed. "Okay, at least you're not angry." "No." "Good." She smiled. And that smile hit Ethan harder than the coffee ever could. That woman was Ava. 3 days later, he found himself thinking about her. A week later, he somehow ran into her again. A month later, they were spending nearly every day together. 6 months later, he couldn't imagine life without her. The memory made Ethan smile for the first time that day. Back then, everything felt simple. Ava didn't care about his money. She didn't care about his companies. She didn't care about magazine covers. She cared about him, the real him, the version nobody else saw, the version who liked cheap pizza, the version who hated fancy parties, the version who sometimes felt lonely despite having everything. Ava saw that version, and she loved him anyway. The memory shifted. Now Ethan was remembering a small apartment. Ava's apartment, the place where they spent countless evenings together. He remembered her standing in the kitchen, cooking, dancing while music played from her phone, laughing when he stepped on her feet. "You can't dance." "Yes, I can." "No, you can't." "I'm amazing." "You're terrible." "I'm amazing." "Terrible." "Amazing." "Terrible." They both laughed. Then Ethan pulled her closer. "What if I don't care?" Ava smiled. "What if you don't care about what?" "What if I don't care if I can't dance?" "Why?" "Because I'm dancing with you." Ava's face turned red. "That was cheesy." "I know." "Very cheesy." "I know." "Really cheesy." "I know." Then she kissed him. And suddenly neither of them cared about dancing anymore. Back in the present, Ethan sat through the wedding preparations like a man trapped inside a dream. People talked around him. He barely listened. The memories kept coming, one after another. Ava sitting beside him at the beach. Ava helping at a charity event. Ava falling asleep on his shoulder during a movie. Ava laughing, always laughing. Then another memory came. This one different. This one important. The night he proposed. Not with a ring. Not officially. Just a promise. Promise about the future. They had been sitting on a rooftop watching city lights. Ava rested her head on his shoulder. Everything felt peaceful. Then Ethan said something. Something that changed everything. "Marry me someday." Ava sat up immediately. "What?" He smiled. "I said marry me someday." Ava stared. "Are you serious?" "Very serious." "You don't even have a ring." "I'll get one." "You don't even have a speech." "I'll get one." "You didn't even kneel." "I'll do that too." Ava laughed so hard she almost cried. Then she looked at him. Really looked at him. "You mean it?" Every word. Her eyes filled with tears. Happy tears. The kind that come when someone feels loved. "I mean it too." Ethan pulled her into his arms. Neither of them noticed the future falling apart around them. Neither of them knew how close they were to losing everything. Back in the ballroom, applause suddenly snapped Ethan out of the memory. Someone was making a speech. He didn't even know who. His thoughts drifted again. This time to the beginning of the end. The day everything changed. The day his mother got involved. At first she pretended to like Ava. She smiled. She acted friendly. She asked questions. But Ethan remembered the way she looked at Ava. Like she wasn't good enough. Like she didn't belong. One evening his mother invited him over. He could still remember the conversation. "Ethan." "Yes. You're making a mistake." His mother's voice had been cold. "What mistake?" "That girl." Ethan immediately knew who she meant. "Ava." "Yes." Ethan frowned. "What about her?" "She isn't right for you." Ethan laughed. "You're wrong." "No. Mom. She wants your money." Ethan stood up. "No. Open your eyes. She loves me." His mother shook her head. "You are being foolish." "I love her." His mother's expression hardened. "Then you're choosing her over your family." The memory still hurt, because that was the first real fight they ever had. And it only got worse after that. Much worse. If you're enjoying this video so far, consider subscribing to my small channel. My wife promised to make me a chocolate chip cookies if I hit 100,000 subscribers before the end of 2026. So it would mean the world to me. That's it, and thanks for listening this far. Now let's continue. Ethan remembered how his family kept pushing, kept criticizing, kept trying to create problems. But Ava always stayed calm. One night he apologized to her. "I'm sorry." Ava looked up from her book. "For what?" "My family." She smiled gently. "They love you, not you." Ava shrugged. "That's their problem. It bothers me." "I know. They don't understand how amazing you are." Ava laughed. "Amazing? Yes. No. Yes." She shook her head. Then she took his hand. "Ethan." "What?" "As long as you believe in us, nothing else matters." At the time, Ethan believed that. He truly believed that. Nothing else matters. Nothing else matters. Nothing else matters. Now sitting in his wedding chair years later, those words echoed painfully inside his head. Because something had mattered. Something big enough to tear them apart. Something powerful enough to separate two people who loved each other. The question was simple. What was it? And why didn't he know? Across the ballroom, Ethan suddenly spotted one of the catering staff. He immediately stood. The man looked surprised. "Sir, the waitress from earlier." "What waitress?" "The pregnant woman." The employee thought for a second. "Oh, Ava." Ethan's heart jumped. "Where is she?" "I don't know." "Think." The employee shifted nervously. "She usually works evening events." "Did she leave?" "I think so." "When?" "About 20 minutes ago." Ethan felt sick. She was gone. Again. Just like 3 years ago. Gone before he could get answers. Gone before he could understand. Gone before he could fix anything. The employee slowly backed away, leaving Ethan standing alone once more. Across the room, Sophia was watching him. Watching every movement. Watching every question. Watching every reaction. And for some reason, she looked more worried than ever. Ethan noticed. A strange feeling settled in his stomach. A feeling he could not explain. It was the same feeling he got during business deals when something wasn't right. When someone was hiding something. When a piece of the puzzle was missing. Sophia quickly looked away when she noticed him staring. But it was too late. Ethan had seen it. The fear. The nervousness. The panic. And suddenly Ava's words returned. "You really don't know?" Ethan stared across the room, his heart beating faster, because for the first time, he began wondering if everybody around him knew something he didn't. And if that was true, then the story of how he lost Ava might be very different from the story he had been told. The thought stayed in Ethan's mind long after the guests left the ballroom. Maybe everybody around him knew something he didn't. Maybe the story he had believed for 3 years was a lie. That possibility would not leave him alone. The wedding reception continued around him. People laughed. People danced. People drank expensive champagne. But Ethan felt completely disconnected from everything. He sat quietly at his table while Sophia entertained guests. Every few minutes he found himself looking toward the entrance. Part of him hoped Ava would suddenly walk back in. Part of him knew she wouldn't. She had already disappeared once. Now she was gone again. The difference was that this time Ethan wasn't willing to let her stay gone. Late that night, after the final guest left, Ethan sat alone in his penthouse apartment. The city lights shined through the giant windows. Usually he loved this view. Tonight he barely noticed it. His phone sat in front of him. For nearly an hour he stared at Ava's old contact information. The same number he had saved years ago. The same number he had tried calling hundreds of times after she vanished. Every call had failed. Every message had gone unanswered. Back then he thought she had chosen to leave him. Now he wasn't so sure. Finally he opened a drawer. Inside was an old wooden box. A box he had not touched in years. Slowly he lifted the lid. Photographs, movie tickets, handwritten notes, little pieces of a life he once planned to have. His fingers stopped on one picture. It showed Ava smiling beside him at the beach. The wind blew her hair across her face. She was laughing, not posing, not pretending, just laughing. Ethan stared at the photo. Then he whispered something he hadn't said in years. "Where did you go?" The room stayed silent. But miles away, Ava was asking herself a different question. Why did he look so confused? She sat on the edge of a small bed inside a tiny apartment. Rain tapped softly against the window. The room was simple. One couch, one table, one bedroom. Nothing fancy, nothing expensive. But it was hers. She placed her hand on her stomach. The baby kicked gently. A small smile crossed her face. Easy there. For a moment she forgot about the wedding. Forgot about Ethan. Forgot about everything. Then the memories returned. Seeing him, seeing Sophia, seeing the wedding. The pain rushed back immediately. A knock sounded at the door. Ava stood and opened it. Her best friend Lily walked inside carrying groceries. The moment Lily saw her face, she frowned. "You saw him, didn't you?" Ava looked away. "Yes." Lily sighed heavily. "I knew this would happen." Ava sat back down. For several seconds, neither woman spoke. Finally, Lily placed the groceries on the counter. "How bad was it?" Ava laughed sadly. "He was standing there in a tuxedo." Lily winced. "Ouch." Beside his bride. "Ouch." Looking happier than I've ever seen him. Lily didn't say anything. Ava shook her head. "The funny thing is he looked shocked to see me." Lily stopped unpacking. "What?" "He looked completely shocked." "That doesn't make sense." "I know." "He should know exactly where you've been." Ava laughed again, except there was no humor in it. "Apparently he doesn't." Lily sat beside her. The concern on her face grew. "What happened?" Ava stared at the rain outside. Then she finally said the words she had carried for 3 years. "He said he was looking for me." Lily immediately sat upright. "What?" "He said he had been looking for me." "That's impossible." "I know." "He stopped answering your calls." "I know." "He ignored your messages." "I know." "He disappeared." Ava nodded slowly. "I know." Lily shook her head. "Then why would he say that?" Ava didn't have an answer, because it made no sense. None at all. The rain outside grew heavier. Thunder rumbled in the distance. And suddenly Ava found herself remembering the worst period of her life. The months after Ethan vanished. 3 years earlier. Everything had seemed normal at first. Ethan had been busy with work. Very busy. That wasn't unusual. Sometimes he worked long hours. Sometimes meetings kept him occupied. Sometimes he traveled. She trusted him completely. Then one day he stopped answering. At first she wasn't worried. She sent a text. No reply. Then another. No reply. Then another. Still nothing. She called. The call went straight to voicemail. Again. And again. And again. The silence felt strange. But she told herself not to panic. The next day she drove to his office. The receptionist greeted her politely. Then her expression changed. "I'm sorry." "What?" "Mr. Cole isn't available." When will he be available? I don't know. Ava frowned. Can you tell him Ava is here? The receptionist suddenly looked uncomfortable. Mr. Cole left instructions. What instructions? He does not wish to receive visitors. Ava stared. What? I'm sorry. No, there must be some mistake. The receptionist avoided eye contact. I'm sorry. Ava left confused. Not angry. Not yet. Just confused. That night she called Ethan 23 times. 23. Not one answer. The following week became worse. She went back to the office. Security refused to let her enter. She visited one of his properties. Nobody would speak to her. She tried calling his friends. Nobody knew anything. Or at least that's what they claimed. The memory still hurt. Even now, back in the present. Ava wiped tears from her eyes. Lily watched quietly. You don't have to think about it. Yes, I do. Why? Because something isn't right. Lily nodded. She understood. For years they believed Ethan had abandoned Ava. Now there was a crack in that story. A small crack, but a crack nonetheless. Ava continued staring out the window. The memories kept coming. 3 years earlier, 1 month after Ethan vanished, Ava had finally managed to speak with someone connected to his family. A woman named Margaret, one of the family assistants. Ava remembered arriving at a restaurant. Hope filled her chest. Finally, someone willing to talk. Margaret sat across from her, nervous, restless, constantly checking over her shoulder. Ava immediately noticed. Are you okay? Margaret nodded. Yes. You wanted to meet. Yes. Do you know where Ethan is? Margaret looked down. Then she pulled an envelope from her purse. Ava frowned. What's that? Margaret pushed it across the table. Ava opened it. Her heart stopped. Money. A lot of money. More money than she had ever seen. She looked up immediately. What is this? Margaret swallowed hard. A fresh start. Ava stared. I don't understand. Margaret's voice became quieter. You need to move on. Move on from what? From Ethan. Ava felt sick. What are you talking about? Margaret couldn't look her in the eye. His family doesn't approve. Ava slowly stood. You think I want his money? No. Then why are you doing this? Margaret looked miserable. I don't have a choice. Ava pushed the envelope back. Tell Ethan I want to hear this from him. Margaret's eyes filled with guilt. Then she whispered something Ava never forgot. You won't be hearing from Ethan again. Back in the present, Ava closed her eyes. The memory still felt like a knife. Lily shook her head. I hated that woman. So did I. What happened after that? Ava laughed bitterly. You know what happened. But she told the story anyway, because now it felt different. Now she was seeing it through new eyes. The weeks after that meeting became a nightmare. She lost her apartment. She lost her job. Bills piled up. Savings disappeared. Everything fell apart. One night she sat alone in the dark crying. Not because she wanted money. Not because she wanted luxury. Because she wanted answers. She wanted Ethan. The man who promised to marry her. The man who promised they would face everything together. The man who suddenly vanished. Then came the stormy night. The night she made one final attempt. Rain poured from the sky. Thunder shook the city. Ava stood outside Ethan's family estate, soaked from head to toe, determined. She wasn't leaving without answers. Security guards blocked the gate. I need to see Ethan. No. Please. No. I just need 5 minutes. No. Ava felt tears mixing with rain. Please. One guard finally looked uncomfortable, but he still shook his head. You need to leave. Why? No answer. Tell me why. Still no answer. Then something happened. A black luxury car pulled through the gate. The window rolled down. Inside sat Ethan's mother. Their eyes met. For one brief moment, Ava stepped forward. Please. The older woman looked at her calmly, coldly. Then she rolled the window back up. The car continued moving. The gate closed. And that was it. That was the last time Ava tried, because in that moment she believed she had her answer. Ethan didn't want her anymore. His family had won. Back in the present, Lily's eyes filled with anger. I still can't believe they treated you like that. Ava rubbed her stomach. Neither could she. Yet somehow the pain wasn't what bothered her most anymore. Something else bothered her. Something new. The look on Ethan's face at the wedding. The confusion. The shock. The hurt. It didn't look fake. Not even a little. Lily seemed to read her thoughts. You think he really didn't know? Ava hesitated, then nodded slowly. I don't know. Do you believe him? I don't know. You used to. Ava looked away. 3 years ago she would have trusted Ethan with her life. Now she didn't know what to believe. The room fell silent again. Outside, the rain continued falling. Then Ava suddenly remembered something. A small detail. Tiny. Almost forgotten. Her eyes widened. Lily noticed immediately. What? Ava sat upright. What if? What if what? Ava's heartbeat quickened. What if someone made sure we never spoke? Lily frowned. What do you mean? Ava thought about the blocked calls, the office visits, the security guards, the envelope, the threats, the silence. Then she thought about Ethan's face, the genuine confusion, the genuine pain, and suddenly the impossible didn't seem impossible anymore. What if I was trying to reach him? Ava whispered. While he was trying to reach me? Lily stared. Neither woman spoke, because for the first time, a terrifying possibility stood between them. Maybe Ethan never abandoned Ava. Maybe somebody made sure they stayed apart. And if that was true, then everything they believed about the last 3 years was wrong. The rain continued beating against the window as Ava sat frozen. Because the deeper she thought about it, the more one question kept growing inside her mind. Who would go to such lengths to destroy two people who loved each other? And why? The question stayed inside Ethan's head all night. Who would go to such lengths to keep two people apart? By sunrise, he still had not slept. The city outside his penthouse was waking up. Cars moved through the streets. People rushed to work. Life continued as normal. But Ethan's life no longer felt normal. The wedding that should have made him happy had done the exact opposite. Instead of feeling excited about marrying Sophia, he felt trapped inside a mystery that had Ava at the center of it. He stood by the window holding a cup of coffee. The coffee had gone cold. He hadn't taken a single sip. His mind kept replaying the same moments. Ava's face, Ava's voice, Ava's tears. You really don't know? The more he thought about it, the less sense everything made. Then his phone rang. Sophia. Ethan stared at the screen. After several seconds, he answered. Hello. Where are you? Home. You left without telling me. I needed time. There was silence. Then Sophia spoke again. You've been acting strange. Ethan almost laughed. Strange? His entire life had just been turned upside down. Maybe because I saw my ex-girlfriend working as a waitress at my wedding. Sophia's voice immediately became tense. Again with Ava. What do you mean again? Ethan, she's in the past. Is she? Silence. A very uncomfortable silence. Finally Sophia spoke. You need to let this go. Ethan frowned. Something about those words bothered him. You seem very eager for me to forget her. What? You heard me. Sophia sighed heavily. I'm trying to protect our relationship. No. What? I don't think that's what you're doing. Another silence. This one longer. Then Sophia's voice became cold. What exactly are you accusing me of? Ethan rubbed his forehead. I don't know yet. The call ended a few minutes later. But instead of feeling better, Ethan felt worse. Because Sophia sounded nervous. Not upset. Not jealous. Nervous. There was a difference. And Ethan noticed it. By afternoon, he found himself driving to his mother's estate. A huge mansion sat behind iron gates. The place looked beautiful. Today it felt different. Today it felt like a place full of secrets. The gates opened. Ethan parked and walked inside. His mother was sitting in the garden drinking tea. She smiled when she saw him. Ethan. Mom. She immediately noticed his expression. What happened? Ethan sat down across from her. For several moments he said nothing. Then he finally asked, "Do you remember Ava?" His mother's smile disappeared. Immediately, the reaction was so fast that Ethan almost missed it. "What about her?" "I saw her." His mother slowly lowered her teacup. "Where?" "At my wedding." A strange look crossed her face. Shock, then something else. Something harder to identify. What was she doing there? "Working." His mother nodded slowly. Then she looked away, and that simple movement made Ethan's stomach tighten. Because she wasn't surprised enough. Most people would be shocked. His mother seemed almost prepared. "Mom." "Yes." "Did you know she was there?" "No." The answer came too quickly. Way too quickly. Ethan noticed. His mother noticed him noticing. The air between them became heavy. Finally she sighed. "Ethan." "What? Why are we talking about this girl again?" "Girl. Not woman. Not Ava. Girl." The same way she always referred to her. "I just want answers." "What answers?" "About what happened." His mother's face hardened. "What happened is simple." "No." "Yes." "No." His voice became firmer. "No, it isn't." The two stared at each other, neither willing to back down. Then Ethan asked the question that had been bothering him all night. "Did you ever speak to Ava after we broke up?" For the first time, his mother looked uncomfortable. A small change, but enough. Enough for Ethan to notice. "No." She looked away. A second later, she corrected herself. "Not really. Not really." Ethan immediately sat forward. "What does that mean?" "Nothing." "What does that mean?" His mother sighed. "I met her once." The words hit Ethan like a punch. "What?" "It was years ago." "What happened?" "Nothing happened." Ethan laughed. Except there was no humor in it. "If nothing happened, why didn't you tell me?" His mother didn't answer. That silence told Ethan more than words ever could. Something happened. Something important. Something she didn't want him to know. "Ethan." "What happened?" "It doesn't matter." "What happened?" His voice rose. For the first time in years. His mother looked shocked. "Lower your voice." "No." "Ethan." "What happened?" Finally she stood up. "I offered her money." The words landed like a bomb. Ethan froze. "You what?" "I offered her money." "Why?" His mother's answer came without hesitation. "Because she wasn't right for you." Ethan couldn't believe what he was hearing. "You tried to pay her to leave?" "I tried to help her." "Help her?" "She needed money." "That's not your decision." His mother folded her arms. "I was protecting my son." "No." "What?" "You were controlling my life." For a moment neither spoke. Then his mother said something that made things even worse. "She refused the money." Ethan blinked. "What?" "She refused it." That surprised him. Not because he doubted Ava. Because it confirmed everything he already knew about her. She never cared about money. Never. And suddenly one of his mother's biggest arguments fell apart. The woman sitting across from him knew it too. His mother looked away again. That was when Ethan noticed something. Tiny movement. A flash of guilt. Just for a second. But it was there. Then another memory hit him. Years ago, a conversation with Sophia. At the time it seemed harmless. Now it didn't. Back then Sophia had approached him during a charity event. They weren't dating. They were barely friends. Yet she had randomly brought up Ava. He remembered it clearly. "Ava seems nice." "She is." Sophia smiled. "You're lucky." "I know." Then Sophia said something strange. Something Ethan ignored at the time. "Just be careful." "Careful of what?" "People change." Ethan remembered laughing. "Ava won't." Sophia smiled. But it wasn't a happy smile. Looking back now, Ethan realized something. Sophia never liked Ava. Not from the beginning. The realization bothered him. A lot. That evening he returned home and opened his laptop. For the first time in years, he started searching through old emails. Old messages. Old records. Anything connected to that period. Hours passed. Then suddenly he found something. An email. 3 years old. His eyes widened. The sender was one of his former assistants. The assistant had quit shortly after Ava disappeared. At the time, Ethan thought nothing of it. Now he wasn't so sure. The email was short, very short, but one sentence stood out. Mr. Cole, there are things happening around you that you don't see. Ethan sat frozen. He remembered receiving it. He remembered ignoring it. At the time, he thought the assistant was upset about losing his job. Now the sentence felt different, much different. He quickly searched for the assistant's contact information. A phone number appeared. His heart started racing. Without hesitation, he called. The line rang. Once, twice, 3 times. Then someone answered. Hello. The voice sounded older, tired, but familiar. David. Silence. Then, Ethan? Yes. Another silence followed. A long one. Finally, David spoke. I wondered if you'd ever call. Those words immediately made Ethan sit upright. What does that mean? David laughed softly. A lot of things happened back then. What things? Silence. Then David asked a question. Did you see Ava? Ethan's pulse quickened. Yes. I figured. David. What? Tell me what happened. The man on the other end sighed heavily. For several seconds, all Ethan heard was breathing. Then David spoke. Carefully, like someone choosing every word. Some people didn't want you two together. Ethan's chest tightened. Who? I can't say that over the phone. What? I can't. David. No. David. The man's voice became serious. Meet me. Ethan stood immediately. When? Tomorrow. Where? David gave him an address. A small diner on the edge of the city. Then he added one final sentence. A sentence Ethan would not forget. You've been lied to for a very long time. The call ended. Ethan remained standing beside his desk, his heart pounding, his mind racing. Across town, inside a luxury apartment, Sophia sat holding her own phone. She had received a message minutes earlier. A message from someone she never expected to hear from again. The message was short, only 6 words. But those 6 words drained all color from her face. He knows something is wrong. Sophia stared at the screen, her hands trembling, because she had spent 3 years making sure certain secrets stayed buried. Now those secrets were starting to rise back to the surface. And for the first time in a very long time, Sophia was afraid. Very afraid. Sophia sat frozen on her couch long after reading the message. He knows something is wrong. Those 5 words kept repeating in her mind. Her hands trembled as she looked across the dark apartment. For 3 years, everything had gone exactly as planned. Ava was gone. Ethan had moved on. The past stayed buried. Now everything was beginning to crack. Meanwhile, across the city, Ethan could not sleep. David's words echoed inside his head. You've been lied to for a very long time. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Ava standing in that wedding ballroom. He saw her tired face. He saw the hurt in her eyes. Most of all, he saw her pregnant stomach. Something about it bothered him. Not because she was pregnant, because of the timing. 3 years had passed since they separated. Yet for some reason Ethan could not shake a strange feeling inside his chest. By morning he was already driving toward the diner where David had agreed to meet him. The small building sat beside an old highway. Nothing fancy, nothing special. Exactly the kind of place where nobody would pay attention to 2 men talking. Ethan arrived first. He sat in a booth near the back. 5 minutes later David walked in. He looked older than Ethan remembered. His hair had more gray in it. His face looked tired, but his eyes immediately showed concern. You came. You knew I would. David sat down slowly. For a few moments neither man spoke. Finally Ethan leaned forward. Tell me everything. David looked around carefully. Then he sighed. I warned you years ago. I know. You didn't listen. I know. David shook his head. You trusted the wrong people. The statement hit hard. Who? David hesitated. Ethan. Who? Before I answer that, I need to ask you something. What? When Ava disappeared, What were you told? Ethan frowned. My mother told me Ava left town. David nodded. What else? She said Ava accepted money. David laughed bitterly. I knew it. Ethan's stomach tightened. What? That was the story. What do you mean? David leaned closer. Because it wasn't true. Ethan froze. For several seconds he couldn't speak. What? Ava never took any money. I know that now. No. David shook his head. You don't understand. What don't I understand? I was there. The words hit Ethan like lightning. You were there. Yes. David's voice became heavier. I saw her refuse the money. Ethan stared. His heart pounded harder. Then why did everyone tell me she took it? David looked away. Because someone wanted you to believe it. The diner suddenly felt too small. Ethan could barely breathe. Who? David hesitated again. Then he finally answered. Your mother wasn't the only person involved. Ethan felt cold. What does that mean? It means somebody else was helping. Who? David looked directly at him. Sophia. The name landed like a bomb. Ethan immediately sat back. No. David nodded sadly. Yes. No. Ethan. No. He couldn't believe it. Sophia? The woman he was about to marry? The woman standing beside him all these years? It didn't make sense. David continued. Back then she visited your office constantly. So? She asked questions. What kind of questions? Questions about Ava. Ethan felt his stomach twist. David continued. She wanted to know where Ava lived. Why? She said she was worried about you. Ethan laughed bitterly. That sounded ridiculous now. David folded his hands. At first I believed her. And then strange things started happening. What things? David lowered his voice. Messages disappeared. Ethan froze. What? Messages from Ava. The world seemed to stop. What did you say? David repeated himself. Messages disappeared. Ethan stared. His chest felt tight. I don't understand. Neither did I. David continued speaking. I saw emails from Ava. Emails? Yes. What happened to them? They vanished. Ethan's pulse raced. You mean somebody deleted them? David nodded. That's exactly what I mean. Silence filled the booth. Everything Ethan believed was falling apart. Then he asked the question that mattered most. Did Ava really try to reach me? David laughed sadly. Every day. Ethan closed his eyes. The answer hurt more than he expected. Every day, while he thought she abandoned him. Every day, while she thought he abandoned her. The realization made him sick. For several minutes he sat silently. Then he looked up again. Why are you telling me this now? David sighed. Because I saw Ava recently. Ethan immediately focused. You did? Yes. When? A few months ago. How is she? David looked uncomfortable. The reaction worried Ethan. David. What? How is she? The older man hesitated. Then he answered. She's been through a lot. Ethan already knew that. He saw it in her face. The exhaustion, the sadness, the disappointment. Then David added something else. She never stopped loving you. Those words nearly broke him. Because he never stopped loving her either. Not really. No matter how hard he tried. No matter how much time passed. A part of him always belonged to Ava. The meeting ended shortly afterward. David promised to send him anything else he could find. As Ethan walked toward his car, his phone suddenly rang. An unknown number. He almost ignored it. Then he answered. Hello. Silence. Then a familiar voice. Ava. Ethan stopped breathing. For a moment he thought he was imagining things. Ava. I shouldn't have called. His heart raced. No, don't hang up. Silence. Then she spoke again. David told me he met you. Ethan immediately understood. You talked to him? Yes. I'm glad. Another silence followed. Neither knew what to say. 3 years of pain stood between them. Finally, Ethan spoke. We need to talk. No. Ava. No. Please. Her breathing became shaky. You don't get to say please. The words hurt, because she was right, at least from her point of view. She thought he had abandoned her. She thought he chose someone else. She thought he never fought for her. I know. No, you don't. I do. No. Her voice cracked. You don't know what those years were like. Ethan closed his eyes. She was right again. He didn't know. Not yet. But he wanted to. More than anything. Ava. What? Please meet me. No. Please. No. Ava. For several seconds she said nothing. Then she surprised him. There is a park near my apartment. Ethan immediately sat inside his car. When? 1 hour. I'll be there. The line went dead. Exactly 1 hour later, Ethan stood beside a quiet park fountain. Children played nearby. Birds moved through the trees. Everything seemed peaceful. Then he saw her, walking slowly toward him. The moment she appeared, everything else disappeared. Just like at the wedding. Only this time there were no guests, no music, no distractions. Just the two of them, face to face. For the first time in 3 years. Ava stopped a few feet away. Neither moved. Neither spoke. The silence stretched. Finally, Ethan broke it. You look beautiful. Ava laughed sadly. No, I don't. You do. No. Her eyes filled with emotion. You don't have to say things like that anymore. Ethan felt pain in his chest. I mean it. Ava looked away. The conversation felt impossible. Too much history. Too much hurt. Finally, Ethan asked the question that had haunted him. Did you try to contact me? Ava slowly looked back at him. Then she nodded. The simple movement nearly destroyed him. How many times? Ava laughed. Except there was no happiness in it. I stopped counting. Ethan swallowed hard. I never got your messages. I know. You do. Ava nodded. I know now. Ethan frowned. What do you mean? Ava hesitated. Then she explained everything. The blocked calls, the office visits, the security guards, the envelope, the meeting with Margaret. Every detail, every painful memory, every closed door. The more Ethan listened, the worse he felt, because everything pointed to the same thing. They had both been manipulated. They had both been lied to. They had both been victims. When Ava finally finished speaking, neither knew what to say. Then Ethan looked at her stomach. The question slipped out before he could stop it. Who's the father? Ava immediately froze. The color drained from her face. Her hand moved protectively across her stomach. The reaction caught Ethan's attention instantly. Something changed. Something important. For several seconds she couldn't speak. Then she looked away. Ethan. His heart began pounding. The way she said his name felt different. Heavy. Emotional. Almost frightened. Ethan. What? Tears appeared in her eyes. And suddenly Ethan felt something he couldn't explain. Fear. Real fear. The kind that appears right before life changes forever. Ava's voice trembled. There was something I never got the chance to tell you. Ethan stared. His pulse raced faster. What? Ava wiped a tear from her cheek. Then another. For several seconds she struggled to speak. Finally the words came out. Soft. Broken. Life-changing. I found out I was pregnant a week after you disappeared. The world stopped. Ethan couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. Ava's tears fell freely now. You asked who the father is. Ethan stared at her, completely frozen. Then Ava whispered the answer. You are. You are. The words hung in the air between them. For a moment Ethan thought he had heard wrong. The sounds of children playing nearby seemed to disappear. The fountain behind them faded into the background. Everything disappeared except Ava's face. Except those two words. You are. Ethan stared at her. His mouth opened, then closed again. He couldn't find words. Finally he whispered, What? Ava wiped tears from her cheeks. I found out after you disappeared. Ethan took a step backward. His legs suddenly felt weak. No. Ava looked hurt. No. I mean. Ethan struggled to breathe. No. That's impossible. I would have come. I know. I would have been there. I know. I would never leave you alone. Ava's eyes filled with fresh tears. I know that now. The answer broke his heart, because it meant she had once believed the opposite. For years she had believed he abandoned her. For years he had believed she walked away. Now the truth stood between them. Neither of them had left. Someone had separated them. Ethan looked at her stomach again. His child. The thought felt unreal. His child. The baby growing inside her. The baby he never knew existed. The baby who had spent months growing while he planned a wedding with someone else. He covered his face with his hands. Oh my God! Ava looked away. I tried to tell you. The words came out quietly. I know. I tried so many times. I know. I thought you hated me. Ethan immediately shook his head. Never. Ava looked at him. Then why didn't you come? The question hurt, because 3 years ago she would have been right to ask it. Ethan lowered his hands. I thought you left. Ava stared. Left? My mother told me you took money. Ava laughed through tears. Money? She said you moved away. Ava shook her head slowly. I was still in the same city. The pain in her voice nearly crushed him. At that moment Ethan realized how much time had been stolen from them. 3 years. 3 years of birthdays. 3 years of memories. 3 years of a child's life before birth. All gone. Not because they stopped loving each other. Because somebody made sure they stayed apart. Before either could speak again, Ethan's phone rang. He looked down. The caller ID made his jaw tighten. His mother. He answered immediately. Hello, Ethan. Her voice sounded nervous. That alone was unusual. What? Where are you? Why? I need to talk to you. Ethan looked at Ava. Then he answered coldly. I'm busy. His mother hesitated. Then she said something unexpected. Margaret contacted me. Ethan froze. The name instantly caught his attention. Margaret, the woman who tried giving Ava money. What about her? Silence. Then his mother spoke again. She wants to meet you. Ethan's heart began pounding. Why? She said she can't live with the guilt anymore. The words hit like lightning. Guilt. Not regret. Not sadness. Guilt. Ethan immediately ended the call. Ava looked confused. What happened? He looked directly at her. The woman who offered you money. Margaret. Ava's face tightened. What about her? She wants to talk. An hour later, Ethan arrived at a small office building. Ava stayed behind. She didn't trust any of these people. And honestly, Ethan couldn't blame her. Margaret was already waiting. The moment she saw him, she started crying. That scared him. People don't cry like that unless they carry something heavy. She stood up. Ethan, what happened? Margaret looked ashamed. For several moments she couldn't speak. Then she finally whispered, I'm sorry. Ethan crossed his arms. Sorry for what? Her tears fell harder. For everything. Start talking. Margaret nodded slowly. Then she told him the truth. Every painful piece of it. 3 years earlier, Ethan's mother had called her into a private meeting. Margaret remembered every word. I need your help. With what? There's a girl. Ava. Yes. Margaret looked at Ethan. I knew right away what she wanted. Ethan's stomach tightened. What did she want? Margaret swallowed hard. She wanted Ava gone. The room became silent. Margaret continued. She said Ava wasn't good enough. Ethan looked away. Those words sounded familiar. Too familiar. Then Margaret revealed something worse. It wasn't just your mother. Ethan closed his eyes. Sophia. He already knew what name was coming next. Sophia was there too. The words landed exactly where he expected. Yet they still hurt. Margaret nodded sadly. Your mother created the plan. And Sophia? She helped carry it out. Ethan felt anger rising inside him. Real anger. The kind that makes your hands shake. Margaret continued speaking. They intercepted emails. They blocked calls. They told security not to let Ava near you. They paid people to keep watch. Every sentence felt like another punch. Ethan couldn't believe what he was hearing. Then Margaret revealed the worst part. There was one message. Ethan looked up immediately. What message? Margaret wiped her eyes. Ava left a letter. His heart stopped. A letter? Yes. Where is it? Margaret looked ashamed. Sophia destroyed it. The room spun. Destroyed it. Ava's final attempt to reach him. Gone. Just gone. What was in it? Margaret's voice broke. I read it before it was destroyed. Ethan stepped closer. What did it say? Margaret cried openly now. It said Ava was pregnant. The world seemed to stop moving. Even though he already knew the truth, hearing those words felt different. Because now he knew something worse. Sophia knew. His mother knew. They knew about the baby. And they kept it from him. For years. Ethan stood frozen. Margaret's voice trembled. I'm sorry. Nobody spoke. The silence stretched. Finally, Ethan asked the question that mattered most. They knew. Margaret nodded. They knew. My mother knew I had a child? Yes. Sophia knew? Yes. The answer shattered the last piece of trust he had left. Because hiding a relationship was one thing. Hiding a child was something else entirely. Margaret looked at him sadly. Ethan, I should have told you years ago. Why didn't you? I was afraid. The answer made sense. But it didn't make the pain any smaller. Nothing could. Ethan walked toward the window. Outside, people moved through the streets like any normal day. But his life would never be normal again. Now he knew the truth. The truth wasn't a misunderstanding. The truth wasn't an accident. The truth was a plan. A deliberate plan. A plan created by his own mother. A plan helped by the woman he was supposed to marry. And because of that plan, he lost 3 years with the woman he loved. 3 years with his child. As Ethan stared through the glass, one thing became clear. Someone was going to answer for what they had done. And very soon, someone was going to answer for what they had done. And Ethan already knew where to start. The next morning felt strangely calm. Too calm. The kind of calm that comes right before a storm. The wedding venue was once again filled with people. Workers moved around setting up flowers. Guests arrived from different cities. Family members smiled and chatted. Nobody knew a disaster was waiting for them. Nobody knew the groom had discovered the truth. Ethan stood alone in a private room staring into a mirror. He was wearing the same expensive suit, the same polished shoes, the same perfect appearance. But inside, he was a completely different man. A knock came at the door. Come in. Sophia entered. The moment she saw him, she smiled. But the smile looked forced. You look serious. Ethan said nothing. Sophia stepped closer. Are you okay? Still nothing. The silence immediately made her nervous. Ethan? He slowly turned toward her. Then he asked a simple question. Did you know Ava was pregnant? Sophia froze. Completely froze. The color drained from her face. For a moment she looked like she couldn't breathe. That reaction was all Ethan needed. But he wanted to hear it from her. Answer me. Sophia swallowed hard. I don't know what you're talking about. Answer me. Ethan. Answer me. His voice echoed through the room. Sophia stepped backward. Her hands trembled. That alone told him everything. She stopped. She couldn't finish. Because there was no lie big enough to save her now. Ethan laughed bitterly. You knew. Sophia immediately started crying. Ethan, please. You knew. It wasn't like that. It wasn't like what? Sophia wiped tears from her face. You don't understand. No. Ethan nodded. I finally understand. The words hit her hard. She stared at him, terrified. Then another voice came from the doorway. Ethan, his mother had arrived. She walked inside and immediately sensed the tension. What is going on? Ethan looked at her. The woman who raised him. The woman he trusted his entire life. The woman who stole 3 years from him. And from his child. What is going on? His mother repeated. Ethan took a deep breath. Then he answered. The truth. His mother's face changed. Just slightly. But enough. Enough for him to know she understood. Ethan. No. His voice became firm. No more lies. Guests were beginning to gather outside. Word was spreading. Something was wrong. Inside the room, Ethan pulled out his phone. He opened a recording. Margaret's voice immediately filled the room. I offered her money. His mother's face turned white. Sophia gasped. The recording continued. Your mother created the plan. It wasn't just her. Sophia helped. Every word landed like a hammer. The room became silent. Neither woman could deny it. The proof was right there. Finally, Ethan's mother spoke. You recorded her? Ethan stared at her. That was her concern? Not the lies. Not the child. Not Ava. The recording. His disappointment grew even deeper. Outside the room, more people gathered. Family members, friends, business partners. Everyone sensed drama. Nobody knew how bad it really was. Sophia stepped forward. Ethan, please let me explain. Explain what? She cried harder. I love you. Ethan shook his head. No, I do. No, I do. If you loved me, you wouldn't have done this. Sophia's shoulders dropped, because she knew he was right. For years, she told herself she was helping, protecting, fighting for love. But deep down, she always knew the truth. She stole someone else's happiness. And now she was paying the price. The room door suddenly opened wider. Several guests looked inside. The wedding coordinator looked terrified. Sir. Ethan turned toward him. Bring everyone. The coordinator blinked. What? Bring everyone. His voice left no room for argument. Within minutes, the ballroom was filled. Hundreds of guests sat watching, confused, curious. Whispers spread through the crowd. Nobody understood why the ceremony had stopped. Then Ethan stepped onto the stage. A microphone rested in his hand. The room slowly grew quiet. Sophia stood off to one side crying. His mother stood frozen. Neither looked comfortable. Ethan looked across the crowd. Then he spoke. Thank you all for coming. Silence. I know everyone expected a wedding today. More silence. But there will not be a wedding. Gasps immediately filled the room. People turned toward each other. Confused voices erupted everywhere. Then Ethan raised his hand. The room quieted again. There will not be a wedding because I recently learned that my life has been built on lies. The crowd became silent once more. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Ethan continued. 3 years ago, I lost someone I loved. His eyes found Ava. She was standing near the back. She looked shocked. She clearly never expected this. Ethan continued staring at her. I was told she abandoned me. Ava's eyes filled with tears. I was told she chose money over love. The crowd listened carefully. I was told she walked away. Ethan's voice grew stronger. Every single one of those things was a lie. The room exploded with whispers. People looked toward Sophia, toward Ethan's mother, toward Ava, trying to understand, trying to connect the pieces. Then Ethan revealed the final truth. The woman I loved never left me. Ava covered her mouth. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Ethan's voice shook. She tried to reach me. The room became quiet again. But people I trusted made sure we stayed apart. Several guests looked horrified. Others looked stunned. Some looked angry. The truth was finally out. The lies could no longer hide. Sophia broke down completely. His mother looked defeated. Years of secrets had collapsed in a matter of minutes. Then Ethan stepped off the stage. Slowly, purposefully, the crowd moved aside as he walked. Nobody stopped him. Nobody spoke. His eyes stayed fixed on one person, Ava. She stood frozen near the back of the ballroom, watching him, crying, unable to believe what was happening. Ethan finally stopped in front of her. The entire room watched. Hundreds of eyes focused on them. Neither spoke at first. The moment felt too big for words. Finally, Ethan looked directly at her. His voice came out soft, broken, honest. I'm sorry. Ava's tears fell harder. The room remained silent, waiting, watching, because nobody knew what she would say next. I'm sorry. The words hung between them. The ballroom was completely silent. Hundreds of people watched. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Everyone waited for Ava's answer. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she stared at Ethan. For years she had imagined this moment. She had imagined seeing him again. She had imagined hearing an explanation. She had imagined hearing an apology. But now that it was actually happening, it didn't feel the way she expected. Because an apology could not erase 3 years, could not erase lonely nights, could not erase missed birthdays, could not erase tears. Most of all, it could not erase the pain. Ethan stood in front of her, waiting, hoping, praying. Then Ava finally spoke. "I believe you." The words surprised everyone, even Ethan. His eyes widened. "You do?" Ava nodded slowly. "Yes." A small spark of hope appeared inside him. Then she continued, "But that doesn't change what happened." The hope immediately shrank. Ava wiped her face. Her voice became stronger. "You didn't leave me. No. You didn't know. No. You were lied to." Yes. Every answer hurt, because they were true. Yet Ava's expression remained serious. "And I suffered anyway." Ethan lowered his head, because that was true too. The ballroom remained quiet. The guests listened carefully. Nobody wanted to miss a single word. Ava took a deep breath. For years she had carried this pain alone. Now it was finally coming out. "You know what the hardest part was?" Ethan looked at her. "No." Ava laughed softly. Not a happy laugh. Tired one. "The hardest part wasn't losing the money." Ethan stayed silent. "The hardest part wasn't losing the apartment." Still silent. "The hardest part wasn't working 3 jobs." His chest tightened. Ava looked directly into his eyes. "The hardest part was believing the man I loved chose not to fight for me." The words hit harder than anything else, because Ethan knew exactly how much that must have hurt. Ava continued, "Every time I looked at our baby's ultrasound, I wondered why you weren't there." Tears filled Ethan's eyes. "I would have been. I know that now. I would have been there every time. I know. I swear." Ava nodded. "I believe you." Again she said those words, and somehow they hurt even more, because trust wasn't the problem anymore. The damage had already been done. Sophia sat crying nearby. Ethan's mother looked completely defeated. Neither woman interrupted. For once they had nothing to say. Ava looked around the room, at all the wealthy guests, at all the expensive decorations, at the giant wedding cake. Then she looked back at Ethan. "You had all of this." Ethan remained silent. "And I had nothing." The statement hurt because it was true. Ava continued, "You were building a future." Her hand moved to her stomach. "And I was trying to survive." A tear rolled down Ethan's face. He didn't even notice. The entire room watched the scene unfold. Ava shook her head. "I don't need your pity. This isn't pity. I don't need your guilt. This isn't guilt. What is it?" Ethan answered honestly. "Regret." The word came out broken. "Raw. Real." Ava looked away for a moment. Then she laughed softly again. "Good." Ethan blinked. "What?" "You should regret it." The answer stunned him. But Ava wasn't finished. "Not because you caused it." She pointed toward Sophia and his mother. "They caused it." Then she pointed toward him. "But because you trusted the wrong people." The room became quiet again. Nobody could argue with her. Not even Ethan. He had trusted the wrong people. And the cost had been enormous. Ava stepped back. "Ethan." "What? Do you know what I need right now?" He shook his head. "No. I need peace." The answer surprised him. Not money. Not revenge. Not justice. Peace. Ava continued. "For 3 years I've been fighting." Her voice trembled. "Fighting bills. Fighting stress. Fighting loneliness. Fighting fear." She wiped her eyes again. "I'm tired." The honesty in her voice broke something inside Ethan. Because she wasn't angry anymore. She was exhausted. There was a difference. A huge difference. Ethan stepped forward carefully. "What can I do?" Ava immediately shook her head. No. What? No. Ava. No. She took another step backward. The distance between them grew. Ethan hated it, but he didn't move closer. He knew she needed space. I don't want promises. Ava. I don't want speeches. Ava. I don't want grand gestures. The room listened quietly. Every word felt important. Every word felt earned. Ava looked directly into his eyes. If you want to be part of this child's life, earn it. Ethan froze. The sentence landed with incredible weight. Earn it. Not demand it. Not buy it. Earn it. The guests exchanged shocked looks. Nobody expected that answer. Most people expected her to run into Ethan's arms. Most people expected a happy reunion. Life wasn't that simple. Pain didn't disappear in one day. Trust didn't magically return. Ava understood that, and Ethan was beginning to understand it too. Finally, he nodded. Slowly, respectfully. Okay. Ava looked surprised. Okay. Yes. That's it. Ethan nodded again. That's it. For the first time all day, Ava looked uncertain. She expected an argument. She expected pressure. She expected begging. Instead, she saw acceptance. Ethan's voice softened. You don't owe me forgiveness. The room became even quieter. You don't owe me another chance. Ava stared at him. You don't owe me anything. A fresh tear rolled down her cheek. Because after everything she had been through, those words mattered. A lot. Ethan took a deep breath. But our child deserves a father. Ava looked down, then slowly placed a hand on her stomach. The baby kicked. The small movement changed everything. For a moment, neither spoke. They simply stood there, thinking about the little life connecting them. A life neither planned. A life that survived despite every lie, despite every secret, despite every obstacle. Finally, Ava looked back up. Her expression softened slightly. Not much, just enough. Ethan. What? Don't make promises you can't keep. The warning was simple, but powerful. Ethan nodded. I won't. The two stared at each other for several seconds. Then Ava turned around. The guests parted to let her pass. Nobody stopped her. Nobody spoke. The room watched her walk away. Strong, tired, proud. A woman who had lost almost everything, yet refused to beg for anyone's love. Ethan stood frozen as she disappeared through the ballroom doors. For the second time in his life, he watched Ava walk away. The difference was that this time he understood why. And this time he was determined not to lose her again. Ethan stood motionless long after Ava left the ballroom. The guests slowly began leaving. The decorations remained. The flowers remained. The wedding cake remained. But the wedding itself was over. The future Ethan thought he wanted had disappeared. Oddly enough, he didn't feel sadness about that. The only thing he felt was determination. Ava had given him one chance. Not a second chance at love. Not yet. A chance to prove himself. And he intended to take it. The next morning, Ethan sat inside his office looking at a stack of papers. Medical bills, rent receipts, utility payments. The private investigator he hired had found them all. Every struggle Ava had faced over the last 3 years sat in front of him. The sight made him sick. His assistant entered the room. Sir. Ethan looked up. What is it? Your mother is here. Ethan sighed. For several seconds he considered refusing. Then he nodded. Send her in. A moment later his mother entered. She looked completely different. Not powerful. Not confident. Just tired. Very tired. She sat down slowly. Neither spoke at first. Finally she broke the silence. I made mistakes. Ethan stared at her. Mistakes. His mother lowered her eyes. I thought I was protecting you. You destroyed my family. The words hit hard. His mother flinched. But she didn't argue, because she knew he was right. Ethan. No. His voice remained calm. Strangely calm. You don't get to explain it away. His mother nodded sadly. Tears appeared in her eyes. For the first time, Ethan saw genuine regret. Not excuses. Regret. I know. The room became silent again. Then Ethan asked something unexpected. "Why did you hate her so much?" His mother looked surprised. Then she shook her head. "I didn't hate her. You treated her terribly." "I know." "Then why?" His mother took a deep breath. "I was afraid." The answer caught him off guard. "Afraid?" "Yes." "Of what?" She looked away. "Of losing you." Ethan frowned. His mother continued. "Your father died when you were young." Ethan listened quietly. "You became my whole world." Her voice cracked. "When Ava came along, I panicked." The explanation didn't excuse anything. But for the first time, Ethan understood where it came from. Fear, not hatred. Fear twisted into something ugly. His mother wiped her eyes. "I am sorry." Ethan remained silent. Forgiveness would not come quickly. Some wounds were too deep. After a while, she stood up. Then she surprised him. "I'm transferring money into a trust for the baby." Ethan looked up. His mother nodded. "No conditions. No expectations. No control." Then she quietly left. The office felt strangely empty afterward. Meanwhile, across town, Ava sat inside a doctor's office. The baby was due soon. Very soon. She watched the screen during an ultrasound appointment. The doctor smiled. "Everything looks healthy." Relief washed over her. The last few weeks had been stressful. Very stressful. Then her phone buzzed. A message from Ethan. Just 3 words. "How are you?" Ava stared at the screen. A month ago she would have ignored it. Now she hesitated. Then she typed back. "Fine." A reply came immediately. "Need anything?" Ava almost laughed. It was such a simple question. Yet nobody had asked it in a very long time. Still, she answered honestly. "No." A few seconds passed. Then another message appeared. "Okay, just checking." That was it. No pressure. No demands. No speeches. Exactly as he promised. Weeks passed. Then months. Slowly Ethan became a regular part of her life again. Not as a boyfriend. Not as a husband. As a man trying to earn trust. When her car broke down, he arranged repairs. When her apartment building had safety problems, he helped without taking over. When doctor appointments came up, he offered rides. Sometimes she accepted. Sometimes she didn't. Ethan never complained. One afternoon, Lily watched the situation unfold and shook her head. "I don't understand him." Ava looked up. "What?" "He's actually doing it." "Doing what?" "Earning it." Ava smiled despite herself. Maybe he was. Slowly, patiently, day by day. One evening, Ethan and Ava sat on a park bench. The same park where they first spoke after the wedding. The sun was setting. The air felt calm. For once, neither was arguing. Neither was crying. Neither was talking about the past. Then Ava suddenly spoke. "Why are you still here?" Ethan looked confused. "What? You could walk away." He immediately shook his head. "No." "Why?" The answer came instantly. "Because you're worth fighting for." Ava looked away quickly. The words affected her more than she wanted to admit. Ethan continued. "And our child is worth fighting for." That answer mattered even more, because it wasn't just about romance. It was about responsibility, about showing up, about staying. Ava sat quietly. Then she asked another question. "What if I never forgive you completely?" Ethan thought carefully. Then he answered, "I'll still be here." Ava looked at him. He meant it. She could see it. The same way she once saw it years ago. For the first time in a long time, a small piece of the wall around her heart cracked. Just a little. Not enough to let him in, but enough to let hope peek through. The months continued passing. The baby grew. The due date moved closer. And slowly something unexpected happened. The pain between them became smaller. Not gone. Just smaller. One night Ava stood in her apartment folding tiny baby clothes. She looked down at a small pair of socks. Then she smiled. A real smile. The first one in a long time. Because for the first time in years, she wasn't facing the future alone. And across the city, Ethan sat looking at a framed ultrasound picture resting on his desk. The picture reminded him every day of what mattered. Not money, not business, not status. Family. The family he almost lost forever. Now only one thing remained. The baby's arrival. And both of them knew that when that day came, everything would change again. The baby's arrival. That was all anyone could think about now. Months of pain. Months of healing. Months of rebuilding trust. Everything seemed to be leading toward one moment. One new beginning. It happened on a rainy Tuesday night. Ava was sitting on her couch watching television when a sharp pain shot through her stomach. She immediately grabbed the armrest. Ow! Another pain followed. Stronger this time. Her breathing changed. Slow. Careful. Then her eyes widened. Oh no! She reached for her phone and called Lily. The moment Lily answered, Ava spoke. I think it's time. Lily nearly screamed. What? I think the baby is coming. 5 minutes later, Lily arrived. 10 minutes after that, another contraction hit. This one much stronger. Lily grabbed the hospital bag. We're leaving. Ava nodded. Then suddenly she stopped. What? Lily asked. Ava looked at her phone. What? I should call Ethan. Lily smiled. A real smile. You should. Ava stared at the screen for a moment. Then she pressed call. Across the city, Ethan was working late in his office. When Ava's name appeared on his phone, he immediately answered. Ava. Her voice sounded strained. Ethan. His heart jumped. What's wrong? Ava took a deep breath. I think the baby is coming. Ethan was already standing before she finished speaking. What hospital? 20 minutes later, he burst through the hospital entrance. Rain covered his suit. His hair was soaked. He didn't care. The receptionist pointed him toward the maternity ward. When he arrived, Lily laughed. You look terrible. Ethan ignored her. Where's Ava? Lily pointed toward a room. Ethan hurried inside. Ava was sitting on the hospital bed. Another contraction hit as soon as he entered. She squeezed the bed rail tightly. Ethan immediately moved beside her. I'm here. Ava looked up. For a moment neither spoke. Then she nodded. You're here. The simple words meant more than either of them expected. Hours passed. The labor was long, painful, exhausting. Several times Ava wanted to scream. Several times she cried. Each time Ethan stayed beside her. Not because he had to, because he wanted to. At one point Ava grabbed his hand so tightly he nearly lost feeling in it. Ethan. What? I hate you. The doctor laughed. Lily laughed. Even Ava laughed. A few seconds later another contraction hit. Then she immediately squeezed his hand again. Don't leave. Ethan shook his head. I'm not going anywhere. And he meant it. Hours later the doctor finally smiled. It's time. The room became quiet. Everyone held their breath. One final push. Then another. Then suddenly, a cry. A loud cry. A beautiful cry. The sound filled the room. Ava immediately burst into tears. Ethan froze. The doctor carefully lifted the baby. It's a girl. Nobody spoke. Nobody could. The moment was too powerful. Too emotional. Too perfect. The doctor placed the baby in Ava's arms. Ava stared down at her daughter. Tiny fingers. Tiny nose. Tiny eyes. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Ethan looked over her shoulder. The sight nearly brought him to his knees. His daughter. His little girl. For several moments neither parent spoke. They simply stared, trying to take it all in, trying to understand that she was finally here. Eventually Ava looked up. Her eyes were filled with tears. So this is who we've been fighting for. Ethan nodded. Yeah. Ava smiled. And for the first time in years, the smile looked completely genuine. The following weeks changed everything. The apartment became filled with baby bottles, blankets, toys, sleepless nights, and endless crying. The baby didn't care that her parents had a complicated history. She cried whenever she wanted, at any hour, for any reason. One night, Ethan sat holding her while she screamed. Lily walked past and laughed. You wanted to be a father. Ethan looked exhausted. I still do. The baby cried louder. Lily laughed even harder. Despite the exhaustion, something amazing happened. Ava started trusting him again. Not all at once. Slowly. The way trust is supposed to grow. One small step at a time. One evening the baby finally fell asleep. Ava and Ethan sat quietly on the couch. The apartment was peaceful. For once, neither wanted to break the silence. Eventually Ava spoke. "Do you remember the rooftop?" Ethan smiled immediately. "The proposal?" Ava nodded. "You didn't even have a ring. You never let me forget that. You deserved it." Ethan laughed. The sound felt familiar, comfortable, like old times. Then Ava became serious. "Ethan, what? Why didn't you give up?" The question surprised him. He thought carefully before answering. "Because losing you once was bad enough." Ava looked down, then back at him. The old wall around her heart was finally gone. Not because of one grand gesture, not because of one speech, because of consistency, because he stayed, because he showed up. Again and again, when things were hard, when things were messy, when things were boring, he stayed. Ava reached for his hand. The movement was small, but it meant everything. Ethan looked at her. Neither spoke. Words weren't necessary. For the first time since that terrible day 3 years ago, they were finally moving in the same direction. Months later, family and friends gathered in a small garden. Nothing extravagant, nothing flashy, just people who genuinely cared. Lily was there. David was there. Even Ethan's mother was there. Older, humbler, still trying to earn forgiveness. At the center of it all sat Ava, Ethan, and their daughter. The little girl laughed as Ethan lifted her into the air. Everyone smiled. Ava watched them together. Then Ethan sat beside her. Neither looked away this time. Neither ran. Neither hid. The lies were gone. The secrets were gone. Only truth remained. Ethan gently squeezed her hand. Ava squeezed back. And as their daughter laughed between them, both understood something important. The life they once dreamed about had been stolen. But somehow, against all odds, they found their way back to it. Not perfectly, not easily, but together. And this time, nobody was going to take it away from them again.